Chapter 904. Most of the children were unsociable, and afraid of people. They needed more companionship and care from their family. Xue Xiao's parents were very loving. They loved their little daughter who was different from other children since she was a child. Xue Xiao was nearly 10 years younger than her sister. When her sister was born, she already knew something. She was not dissatisfied with the new member of the family because of her parents' love for her sister. Instead, she knew how to protect her sister since she was a child. However, such a harmonious and happy family died because of Hua Qihan's selfishness. Xue Xiao was the only one left in the family. At that time, Xue Xiao had to deal with her father's funeral and take care of her sick mother. She didn't take care of her sister. Hua Qihan paused. Her sister jumped off the building on the day of her mother's death. It was the unfinished building that her father bought, but the construction was suspended because of a construction accident. She jumped off the dozens of meters high empty building without any hesitation. She took away a fresh life and the last trace of warmth in Xue Xiao's heart. Although Su Yiyan had known that their family was miserable in advance, her heart still trembled when she heard this. The head of the family died suddenly. Her mother died of illness because she had no money to treat her illness. Even the only remaining family member, she must hate him very much. How could she not hate him? Yes, how could she not hate him? To fall apart just like that, with their family broken up and their people dead, who could bear it? She hated him so much, but she became his lover. Maybe it's because she didn't care about it anymore. Su Yiyan felt bad when she heard this. That was why people said that the barefoot were not afraid of the shoes. People who had nothing could even sacrifice their lives, let alone these things. In their eyes, they were just walking corpses. They had nothing to lose. They persisted until now because they were not willing to die like this. The person who caused their tragedy was living a better life than anyone else. I hope that after this, she can find a place where no one knows her and start over again. If her parents were still alive, they wouldn't want her to ruin her life because of hatred. Hearing her words, Hua Qihan knew that she had compassion for Xue Xiao. After a moment of silence, she asked in a low voice, "Do you want to see her?" "Why would I want to see him?" Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh. Originally, he was just a person who lived in the news. It was strange for him to suddenly run over to meet him at this time. She is indeed pitiful, but since she can make such a decision and risk herself, I think she doesn't need other people's sympathy. Speaking of this, Su Yiyan turned to look at Hua Qihan and chuckled. What we can do for him is to make Hua Qihan's crime more serious. It's best if he can get the retribution he deserves. It can also be considered as a way to comfort those who have been hurt by him. Hua Qihan hugged Su Yiyan's waist from behind and buried his head in her neck. At that time, the reason why he had a little bit of compassion for Xue Xiao was that she was a little similar to him at that time. Once upon a time, he also felt that he had lost everything. His loving parents and complete family were all broken up overnight. At that time, he also had an extreme idea. He wanted to destroy the world and drag everyone down with him. Fortunately, he still wanted her. Fortunately, they were all right now. Chapter 905. Hua Qihan was finally arrested, and Su Yiyan was finally able to completely relax after a few days. In order to celebrate the fact that this scourge would no longer be able to cause any more trouble, and to thank her family and friends for their care and concern during her pregnancy, Su Yiyan decided to hold a lively barbecue party at home. Barbecue was not difficult to make as long as the ingredients were prepared in advance, so it was very suitable for a group meal. Today, in addition to Gu Xiaoyang and the others, Su Yiyan also invited Ling Xiaoqi and the Lan family. Naturally, the Su family was not left out. When Cheng Xiuqin heard that his little grandson had almost been stolen, he wanted to come over in a hurry. Later, when he heard that the child had been taken to the company by Hua Qihan, his eldest son personally went to Hua Qihan's company to take a few videos of his little grandson sleeping. He finally settled down. When they heard that Su Yiyan was going to hold a barbecue party at home, the family of 3 ran over before dawn. They held the little boy and refused to let go of him. Su Yiyan knew that she was in the wrong for not telling them about this before. She touched her nose guiltily and did not want to fight with them. Fortunately, not long after, the others rushed over one after another. Seeing that there were outsiders present, Qing Xiuqin and the others did not want to pursue this matter in front of others. They glared at Su Yiyan and did not mention it again. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief and secretly gave a thumbs up to these saviors in her heart. However, when she saw Ling Xiaoqi and Ning Xiyuan who came together, she could not help but twitch the corners of her mouth. Ling Xiaoqi, you've gone too far. Su Yiyan put her hands on her hips and looked at the group of people of all sizes. She almost laughed out of anger. Previously, when you attended my baby's 1-month-old birthday party, I didn't say anything about you because you brought a family member. Today, he even brought the dogs with him, and a bunch of them. That's right, Ling Xiaoqi had also brought along Huahua. Besides Huahua, there were also the 2 puppies that Huahua had given birth to. The puppy that Su Yiyan had been very fond of, Little Curly Hair, who had been snatched away halfway. When Su Yiyan saw Little Curly Hair, he thought, look at how much this curly hair resembles his Dun-Dun. Back then she liked this one the most. In the end, it was given away by Ling Xiaoqi as a token of love. In the end her dog was gone, and so was her sister-in-law. Now, looking at the 2 of them walking over side by side with the 3 dogs, they looked like a family of 5. Su Yiyan felt that his mentality had collapsed. What happened to the dog? Ling Xiaoqi wasn't happy to hear her say that. Don't forget, who was the one who impregnated our Huahua? Our poor Huahua is only a 1-year-old puppy. Not only did she get pregnant at such a young age, but now even the puppies she gave birth to are despised. Public morals are really degenerating day by day. People's hearts are not what they used to be. Do you even have a heart? Su Yiyan listened to Ling Xiaoqi's righteous criticism, and the corners of her mouth twitched even more. She had only said a few words, and she was already defending her. In the past, she only knew that this little girl was a drama queen, but she hadn't expected her to be such a drama queen. The most important thing was that she had forgotten her friends in the face of lust. Su Yiyan opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but a cheerful figure rushed out with a whoosh and pounced on the lazy Huahua in front of Ling Xiaoqi. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof. There was a moment of awkwardness between the 2 of them. Ling Xiaoqi spread her hands at Su Yiyan with a look that said, see, I brought my Huahua here not for myself, but for your little perverted puppy. You still have the cheek to criticize me? Don't you feel guilty? Chapter 906. Su Yiyan stared at his dog, who kept rubbing against Huahua like a small rice cake. Even after being suppressed by force several times, it still didn't change its nature of being a bootlicker. It shamelessly went over to lick Huahua's fur. He felt that his face had been thrown into outer space. You little puppy, can't you save some face for your master? Su Yiyan was so angry that he wanted to beat the dog. Just then, the Lan family arrived. Only Yan Xiaoran, Lan Jie, and the Lan family's baby came. The baby was a few months older than little Xingxing. He was soft and white like a glutinous rice ball, and was very likable. You're here? Just the 2 of you? Yan Xiaoran carried the baby and explained with a faint smile, Grandpa and the rest are old and don't like to move much, so they didn't come. As for Mom and Dad, they said that since it's a gathering organized by youngsters, it's mostly youngsters. Since they're here, everyone won't be able to relax, so they won't join in. Although Father Lan and Mother Lan were of the same generation as Hu Chenhuan, they were almost 2 generations older than them. Just as Yan Xiaoran said, the people who came were all youngsters. There was a generation gap between them and middle-aged people like them. They couldn't chat or play together. If they came, everyone might be more restrained in the presence of the elders, and it would be a waste of everyone's mood. As for Minghan, something came up at the company, so he went to deal with it. He might be a little late. It's fine, it's fine. It's still early. When he comes, I'll probably just finish packing. Let's go in and sit for a while. I'll go make some soup first. You can drink it when you're tired of the barbecue. Okay. Yan Xiaoran nodded and walked in with the baby. Lan Jie followed behind her, looking at her with a complicated gaze. There was even a hint of sadness in his hesitation. Su Yiyan felt goosebumps all over his body. He asked, Are you okay? Before he could finish his sentence, Lan Jie's face turned pale. He turned around and ran away. Su Yiyan? No, what was going on? Was she some kind of scourge? Why did she run away without saying anything? Was she that scary? This interlude did not last long. After all, Su Yiyan still had to prepare a few Chinese medicinal herbs and ingredients for the live stream later. For the time being, she did not have the mood to explore the twists and turns in someone's heart. She thought that after Lan Jie left, she would have to at least wait until she was done with her work for the day before she could talk to him again. Unexpectedly, just 5 minutes after Su Yiyan entered the kitchen, she prepared all the ingredients needed to make soup. Just as she was about to start the live broadcast, a certain someone eagerly followed her. Why you here? You scared me. Su Yiyan turned her head and saw Lan Jie standing at the kitchen door, staring at her. His elusive manner was comparable to that of a ghost. She shuddered in fear. Lan Jie stared at Su Yiyan for a while, then asked excitedly and nervously, "Auntie, you're the host, right?" Su Yiyan was startled. Had she accidentally exposed herself? Did she have to be so caught off guard? Lan Jie saw that Su Yiyan did not say anything, but he seemed to already have an answer. "You're the host, right? I should have known. I should have realized. It was so obvious. My brother and sister-in-law could tell. I call myself the host's die-hard fan, but I didn't realize it at all. On the day of the medicinal cuisine restaurant's opening, and the gift you gave to my grandfather on his birthday, you guys are too much. You, my brother, and sister-in-law all knew, but you didn't tell me." Chapter 907. The young master, who had been spoiled since he was a child, had not even had the chance to experience the harsh beatings of society before he was beaten by his family. That was when he learned how evil people could be. Everyone knew Su Yiyan's identity. They knew that he was a loyal fan of the streamer and had been looking forward to meeting her in person one day. Yet, no one was willing to remind him or tell him anything. They just watched as he was played in circles. Lan Jie felt as if he had been wronged like a dog that weighed a few hundred pounds. His gaze toward Su Yiyan was filled with uncontrollable grief and sadness. Su Yiyan felt like a heartless man who had abandoned her after having sex with her. The corner of her mouth could not help but twitch. This development wasn't right. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't one be especially excited when they suddenly found out that the person they had always wanted to meet was right next to them? Why did the one in front of her look so angry instead? Cough cough. Calm down first. Before Su Yiyan could finish, Lan Jie had already cut her off. "So, are you the streamer?" "I am." "Oh wow." The tears that Lan Jie had been holding back for a long time flowed down like a broken faucet. His howls were earth-shattering and earth-shattering. Even Dun Dun, who had been circling around Hua Hua, ran over when it heard his cries. It circled Lan Jie in circles as if it was wondering what was going on with this two-legged beast that could make the same sounds as them. Could it be that they were of the same kind? Hua Hua saw Dun Dun's silly look from afar and almost wrote the word "idiot" on its cat face. Lan Jie was also a little confused by this fat dog that had appeared out of nowhere. His cries had finally stopped. Su Yiyan saw this and coughed lightly. She took the initiative to ask, "How did you find out? Did your brother and sister-in-law tell you?" Lan Jie's face fell when he heard that. He looked at Su Yiyan even more sadly. "If they had told me, I wouldn't be so depressed." "Then how did you know?" Indeed, Lan Jie did not think in that direction at first. That was until Su Yiyan's last livestream, when one of the livestream's images was captured on Su Yiyan's hand, and the wedding ring on Su Yiyan's hand was captured. At that time, Lan Jie felt that the ring looked familiar, but when he wanted to look at it again, the camera had already turned elsewhere. If it were any other time, he would have missed such a small detail. At most, Lan Jie would think that he had seen wrongly and wouldn't look into it. However, perhaps because he wanted to find Su Yiyan so badly, after the livestream ended that day, Lan Jie found that short recording and watched it back and forth a dozen times before he finally confirmed that he had seen the ring before. However, even though he had seen it before, he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. That was until he accidentally heard his sister-in-law mention that Su Yiyan and Huo Chenwan's wedding ring was custom-made. Not only was it beautiful, but it also had a special meaning. Unlike her and his brother, who had only bought a pair of vegetarian rings when they got married. It couldn't be any better to say that it was simple and generous. They really didn't have any romantic cells. It was this unintentional remark that made Lan Jie's mind flash. He finally remembered who he had seen the ring on. Many things were originally blinded by a single leaf. If you didn't think in that direction, you would turn a blind eye to it. However, once you found the key to Pandora's box, you would find the things that you had overlooked in the past one by one. At first, I was just guessing. I ran to ask my sister-in-law and brother, but they only smiled at me slyly. They didn't say yes or no. Chapter 908. The corner of Su Yen's mouth twitched slightly. That was something the two of them would do. They had promised not to reveal her identity, but they didn't want to lie to their loved ones. The best way was to stay silent and pretend to be dead. However, in Lan Jie's eyes, their actions were no different from tacit agreement. If they didn't say anything, I didn't dare to jump to conclusions. Until I came to your house today. When Lan Jie said this, he subconsciously looked up at Su Yen, and his eyes became more and more sorrowful. The streamer announced yesterday that she was going to have a barbecue live stream today. Barbecue was something that could be seen from the reactions of Gu Xiaoyang and Su Yiyen when Su Yiyen mentioned it. Other than Su Yiyen, probably no one else knew about it. The main reason was that there were no seasonings like chili and pepper. Even if the recipes passed down from the past recorded how to make barbecue, it was useless without the ingredients. It was not strange that people in this era did not know about it. It was reasonable to say that something that should be unique suddenly coincided at a certain time and place. Not to mention that Lan Jie originally had doubts about Su Yiyen. Even if he didn't before, he should have guessed it by now. Not to mention, Su Yiyen and the streamer he had been thinking about had another overlap, and that was the timing of her pregnancy. Lan Jie felt that he was really stupid when he thought about it. When the little guy was 1 month old, he came with the elders to give gifts. The streamer had never concealed her pregnancy and had even stopped live streaming for several months because of it. Obviously, the two of them had similar schedules in all aspects, but he was blind to it. Just thinking about it made him depressed. Ahem. Su Yiyen looked at Lan Jie's pitiful appearance and couldn't help but feel a little apologetic. She touched her nose and explained, "Actually, I didn't mean to hide it. I never said that I wasn't a streamer, and I never said that I was a fan of the streamer." Lan Jie shuddered. Thinking back carefully, he realized that Su Yiyen had indeed never said that she was a fan of the streamer. It was he who saw her sitting alone in the corner of the medicinal cuisine house and subconsciously thought that she was a viewer of the streamer's livestream room like him. She had deliberately come to support the streamer's opening. Now that he thought about it, the restaurant was very lively at that time. Almost all the other tables were full of people, and only Su Yiyen's table was empty. That wasn't an empty seat. It was clearly a special seat that the employees had reserved for their boss. He even ran over excitedly to share a table with him. He didn't even recognize that he was the boss behind the scenes and foolishly praised him a lot. Now that he recalled the scene back then, Lan Jie wanted to dig a hole for himself and hide in it. He was ashamed and angry, but he was even more disappointed. All right, I admit that I was wrong. I apologize to you. You're a magnanimous person, so please don't lower yourself to my level, okay? You're not wrong. I was stupid. Lan Jie cried again after he finished speaking. Without waiting for Su Yiyen to say anything, he turned around and ran away. He looked very much like the tragic female lead in a melodramatic romance drama who was betrayed by a scumbag. Su Yiyen? He left just like that? Why didn't she realize that her nephew was a crybaby before? Lan Jie left, but Su Yiyen's live stream was still on. Because of this small episode, Su Yiyen started her live stream later than the original announcement. At this time, there was already a large group of viewers squatting in the live stream room, discussing why she hadn't arrived yet. Chapter 909. The screen flashed, and the familiar background of the live broadcast popped up. The audience, who had been lazy and dispirited because of Su Yiyen's lateness, was instantly overjoyed, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The host is finally here. We've been waiting for so long. The host is late. Shouldn't she be punished? The live broadcast was promised at 9 o'clock. She's already 10 minutes late. Don't underestimate these 10 minutes. Isn't there a saying that a day apart feels like 3 years? A day is 3 years. These 10 minutes are equivalent to a week. Host, you've made us wait for so long. How can you not express your gratitude, righteous? JPG? Su Yiyen looked at the screen full of comments asking for benefits. The corners of her lips curled up slightly, and she said with a faint smile, I was delayed by something at the last minute. It's my fault for making you wait for so long. However, I have good news to tell everyone today. For the sake of this good news, would you consider forgiving me? Good news? What good news? Is a new batch of medicinal herbs going to be put on the shelves again? Really? Really? The first batch was really too difficult to get. I mobilized 10 to 20 people in my family, young and old, and only managed to get one set of lotus seeds. Come on out. Upstairs, be content. At least you managed to get one set. Unlike our family, which had more than 10 people, young and old, we didn't even get a single set. Vicissitudes of life lighting smoke. JPG. Facts have proven that hand speed is very important when it comes to snatching things. I've been single for 20 years. I'm a bald athlete who has dedicated most of my youth to esports. Back then, I won the Global Esports League Championship, but my family didn't acknowledge me. This time, with my own strength, I helped my family's 8 aunts and 6 aunts get one set each. Now, I've successfully been promoted to the family's most beautiful child. Worship the big boss, and grab the big boss's pants while you're at it. We didn't even get a single set, but you actually got so many. You're too hateful. Hee hee, I also got one set. When I came back, I followed the recording in the host's live broadcast room and made a soup. Although it's not as tasty as the host's, it's my first time cooking. I'm satisfied that I can eat it. The most important thing is that after drinking it, I really feel much more relaxed. It's rare for me to have insomnia for 1 or 2 years. I slept until noon, and I didn't even wake up once. Even my mother said that the dark circles under my eyes have faded a lot after a few days. It could be seen that this was a suffering patient who suffered from insomnia. He was also the first person to benefit from the sale of the Chinese medicinal herbs. There were many people like her. In fact, after the first batch of medicinal herbs went on the market, it exploded in various circles of friends, relatives, and even the academic and medical circles. Su Yiyen's previous livestream lucky draw had a limited number of people. Later on, when he opened a physical store, the number of customers he could receive every day was also limited. Even though Su Yiyen's medicinal cuisine restaurant had won a certain amount of praise due to the wave of pre-orders, there were still some things that he had never eaten or used before. No matter how well others praised him, there would always be a question mark in his heart. Although the first batch of Chinese medicinal herbs was in short supply, the quantity was really not small. It was only because there were too many people who wanted to buy it that it gave people the illusion of hunger marketing. After being bought online, the time it took for the goods to arrive was also very fast. Many people began to eat almost as soon as they got the goods. Therefore, these days, some of the more popular public circles of friends and even the comment section under Su Yiyen's live broadcast room were almost occupied by all kinds of dark cuisine pictures. Chapter 9-10. Firstly, they wanted to let Su Yiyen, the original host, see it and comment on it. Secondly, they wanted to show off that they had defeated nearly 8 figures of competitors and won first place. Su Yiyen saw that many people were discussing the effects of the first batch of herbs. He patiently watched for a while. After making sure that most of the comments were positive, he was slightly relieved and continued with the previous topic. It will take some time for the new herbs to be delivered. For those who haven't bought them, don't worry. The Research Institute will deliver them regularly. The good news I'm going to tell you today is not this, but this. Su Yiyen took out a small medicine bag as he spoke. I already previewed today's live broadcast yesterday. It's barbecue. Eating too much barbecue will make it easy to get heaty, and some people with poor stomachs will have diarrhea if they eat too much. So, after eating barbecue, you will need to drink some soup to nourish the stomach to neutralize the heat. The bag in my hand is the Four Gentlemen. The so-called Four Gentlemen refers to ginseng, atractylodes, poria cocos, and licorice. They are put together in a certain ratio into a bag, which is the bag in my hand. As Su Yayan spoke, she handed the medicine bag in her hand to the camera so that everyone could see what was inside. The amount in this bag is just enough to go with a few ribs and stew a small cup of soup. It's just enough for one person to drink. If it's a family, you can add 1 or 2 more bags. It's the same if you stew it together. Su Yen put the ribs and herbs into the casserole. He added an appropriate amount of water and began to boil. You can decide the amount of water you want, but I suggest that 1 bag should be enough for 2 or 3 bowls of water. If it's too diluted, it might lose its taste. Of course, there are also taboo groups for this. Breastfeeding mothers can't drink it because most of the food and drink during breastfeeding will dissolve in the breast milk and affect the baby. Babies who like to have pimples on their faces shouldn't drink it. What's suitable and what's not suitable will be written on the outside of the package. If you're not sure about your body's condition, you can do a small checkup before choosing the medicine that's beneficial to your body. Next, let's give a wave of benefits to the babies who are suffering from menstrual pain. As soon as Su Yiyen said this, the female viewers who were waiting in the live broadcast room were instantly excited. "I've been waiting for you. Luckily, I didn't give up. It's coming, it's coming. Is the host going to make soup again? I'm on my period today, and it hurts so much that I want to cry. Everyone, please take pity on a bedridden wretch like me. Let me win the lottery later. Please, sob sob sob." The screen of the live stream was flooded with messages asking for the lucky draw. Su Yiyen glanced at them with regret. The next medicine packet is also a mixture of 4 types of herbs. It's called the 4 things. There's Angelica sinensis, Ligusticum chuanxiong, white peony, and Rhizoma chinensis. I've used Angelica sinensis and Rhizoma chinensis in my previous live stream. These 2 things have the effect of regulating menstruation and nourishing blood. White peony and Ligusticum chuanxiong also have the effect of promoting blood circulation, relieving pain, and regulating menstruation. But it's worth noting that the Siwu decoction promotes blood circulation. You can't drink it during your menstrual period. It's best to drink it before or after. It depends on one's habits. I usually drink it after it's finished. I can boil it in soup or stew it in chicken soup. If you like sweet things, you can add some red dates and rock sugar. The effect is good and the taste is good. All right, breastfeeding mothers can't drink it either. The reason is the same as before. Chapter 9:11. When Su Yiyen mentioned it, many people began to lament that it was not easy for pregnant women. After 10 months of pregnancy, they had to breastfeed the child. They could not eat this or that. When Su Yiyen saw these comments, she could not help but laugh. That's right. A woman is willing to risk her body being out of shape, her body being weak and swollen, and even the risk of having a lot of sequelae after giving birth. She is willing to bear a child for you and give birth to the fruit of your love. Needless to say, after giving birth, many people have to help take care of the child and breastfeed the child. They are very busy. If she doesn't really like the child and really loves you, why would she suffer for no reason? Before complaining that your wife has a bad temper during pregnancy and becomes a haggard old woman after giving birth, you should think about your wife's sacrifice. Also, did you fulfill your responsibility as a husband during your wife's pregnancy? Did you give your wife enough care and a sense of security? As soon as Su Yiyen finished speaking, a comment floated on the screen. Then when the host was pregnant, did the host's husband fulfill his responsibility as a husband? Su Yiyen was taken aback, and then she slowly smiled. Barely passing. At that time, Hu Chenhuan, who was sitting in the corner of the hall and watching the live broadcast, raised his eyebrows when he heard Su Yiyen's words. There were slight ripples in his deep eyes. I think the host is being sarcastic. Passing or something like that. She said it so sweetly. It's too sweet. Oh, the host doesn't mean what she says. It's not like everyone only found out today. Previously, The host's frequency of live broadcasts was greatly reduced when she was pregnant. Did you really think the host was slacking off? No, 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 that's the host's husband's love for her. The bullet screen in the live broadcast room suddenly changed from asking for a prize to ridiculing the host. Su Yan was blushed by everyone's words and simply stopped watching. Today, I'll use this to make chicken soup. I don't have many people here, so the rest will be used for the lucky draw. Let's draw 5. You can only drink it if you're not on your period. Viewers who are still breastfeeding or menstruating, don't fight for it later. The medicine packs that I've mentioned today will be sold in physical stores one after another. It won't be too late to buy them and boil them into soup when you can drink them. Mama Bao and the pitiful little girl who were on her period, who happened to be listed as a taboo group, were originally a little disappointed. However, when they heard Su Yan's words, they were immediately reinvigorated. Buy, they had to buy. Even if they couldn't drink it now, they had to buy some and store it. Who knew if they would start to limit their purchases in the future? It was better to buy more just in case. Su Yan cut off the head and tail of the chicken, chopped it into pieces, and put it into the clay pot with the 4 ingredients and red dates. Then, he filled the pot with water and waited for the chicken to be stewed. Next up is the 8 treasures soup. The 8 treasures soup is actually the combination of the 4 objects and 4 monarchs from earlier. When the 2 medicines are combined together, the medicinal effect is also a combination of the 2. It is beneficial to qi and blood. It is suitable for patients who are deficient in both qi and blood because of prolonged illness, imbalance after illness, and excessive blood loss. The cooking method is similar to the previous 2. Stewed chicken or stewed pork ribs are also fine. When some viewers heard that this thing was a combination of the 2 ingredients, they subconsciously felt that this thing was better than the previous 2. My father's spleen and stomach are not very good. My mother is always sick and uncomfortable during her period. Do I only need to buy 1 set of this and it will be solved in one go? This message asked the thoughts of many people present. Su Yan was not surprised by this. Chapter 9:12. My advice would be to not buy it. Although this one combines the effects of 2 types of prescriptions, the medicinal cuisine is different from ordinary food. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't eat medicine. Dear audience member, you can check your parents' health conditions before buying and prescribe the right medicine. If you have both problems, you can cook it directly. But if it's only one of them, it's best to separate them. Don't try to save time and cook it all together. Going too far is as bad as falling short. When some people heard Su Yan's words, they realized that they were taking it for granted. The medicinal cuisine in Su Yan's live broadcast room tasted good, so many people treated it as food instead of medicine. They felt that no matter how much they ate, it would be beneficial to the body. This was also what Su Yan was most worried about. Now that Su Yan had explained it to them in advance, they calmed down and understood the logic behind it. They didn't think too much about it. Su Yan glanced at the time on the screen. Okay, we still have to barbecue later. Let's hurry up and introduce the last medicine package of today, 4 deities soup. The main ingredients of 4 deities soup are Poria cocos, huaishan, lotus seed, and gorgon seed. These 4 herbs have the effect of removing dampness, so 4 deities soup is also known as a good prescription for removing dampness. Previously, I made cinnamon pork stomach soup in the live broadcast room. I added barley into the soup. Barley also has the effect of removing dampness. So, what is this dampness? There are actually 2 types of dampness here, internal dampness and external dampness. As the name suggests, it's the dampness produced by your body and the external dampness. External dampness is generally related to the living environment. The climate is cold and humid. If you stay in a place with humid air for a long time, it's easy for dampness to accumulate over time. This is why some people get rheumatism when they get older. Internal dampness is related to daily routine. People who stay up late, like to stay at home, and don't like to exercise have weak spleen and stomach. It's easy for them to produce dampness. People who have a messy schedule and don't like to take care of themselves live in a dark and damp place. When the moisture inside and outside work together, it will make people listless, have a bad appetite, and feel drowsy. Sometimes, there will even be layers of rashes on the skin, making it itchy. With Su Yiyen's explanation, many people were stunned, and many of them directly connected the dots. Every spring and autumn, there will be an especially long rainy season. Everywhere is wet, and the walls of the room will even leak water on their own. People are also lazy, sleepy, and have no appetite. I always thought it was because of the change of seasons. So it has something to do with the humidity? It was the kind of thing where one could grab a large area of red dots. It looked very scary, but once it disappeared, it would return to normal. I thought it was because of the change of seasons, but it turns out that it wasn't the case. How do I treat this? Will there be any problems with your body after a long time? Su Yiyen looked at the rapidly passing comments on the screen and patiently explained, if the humidity is lighter, it will cause some discomfort. If it's not treated, it will cause the symptoms to worsen and lead to some complications. The best treatment is to not stay up late, exercise more, and eat more food to remove dampness. For example, for God's soup or Job's tears porridge. As Su Yiyen spoke, he boiled the pork belly that he had prepared early in water. When it hardened, he took it out and cut it into strips. He put in scallions and ginger to remove the smell, and put it into a clay pot with a few other herbs. Chapter 9:13. Su Yiyen had just put everything away when he saw a comment floating on the bullet screen. I can understand the previous ones, but why is this called Four Deities Soup? Why is it called this? Su Yiyen smiled. There's an allusion to this name. Legend has it that when an emperor was out on an inspection tour, the four ministers beside him fell ill before they reached their destination because they were tired from the journey and couldn't acclimatize to the environment. After that, they invited a doctor to take a look, and the doctor prescribed this Four Deities Soup. Because they are four ministers, the four ministers are called the four gods by homonyms. The tiredness of the journey mentioned in this allusion was first pointed out that they were tired. Secondly, the place where they originally lived was the dry and hot north, and the place where they went out was the wet and cold south. They couldn't adapt for a while, and the humidity entered their bodies, causing them to fall ill. From this, it can be seen that changes in the environment have a certain impact on the human body's health, and it can't be ignored. Babies who go on business trips often need to take care of themselves. Oh right, if some people don't like the taste of gorgon, they can replace it with barley. The effect is the same. Su Yiyen covered the pot and wiped his hands with a towel. He glanced at the 4 pots of soup that still needed to be simmered for a while and smiled. Okay, the soup is ready. I'll turn off the live stream and move the camera. Let's go out for a barbecue. Su Yiyen first advertised the soup that he was going to drink today and his shop's new product before getting into the main topic, the real barbecue party. On the other hand, after confirming his guess, the aggrieved Lan Jie finally returned to his sister-in-law's side. Yan Xiaoran was greeting little Xingxing with her baby, and the 2 babies, who were half a year apart, started calling out to each other. There was an "I" here and there, and it really did seem like they were having a conversation. Yan Xiaoran sensed Lan Jie coming over, but she didn't turn her head and asked in a low voice, "You're back? Where did you go just now?" Lan Jie didn't reply for a while, and Yan Xiaoran finally realized that something was wrong. She turned to look at him in confusion. She was shocked. Lan Jie's eyes were red, and it was obvious that he had been crying. Yan Xiaoran's expression changed slightly, and she hurried to Lan Jie and asked nervously, "What's wrong? Who bullied you?" "You." Yan Xiaoran was stunned. "Me? When did I bully you?" "You and my brother." The more Lan Jie spoke, the more aggrieved he felt. He wanted to cry even more. "You clearly knew that small auntie was the host, but you didn't tell me. Don't you find it funny that I don't know anything about the main character every day and even praise her in front of her as if she's the best in the world?" No. When Yan Xiaoran heard him say this, she knew that their concealment might have hurt Lan Jie's sensitive self-esteem. She hurriedly explained, "This matter is more complicated. It's not what you think. We didn't mean to hide it from you, and we never wanted to see you make a fool of yourself." Halfway through her sentence, Yan Xiaoran suddenly thought of something and looked up at Lan Jie. "Wait a minute, How can you be so sure that she's the host? Did you ask her? Before coming here, he was still confused and didn't know what to do. Now that he was so sure, there was a high chance that he had confirmed it with the person himself.
Yeah.
She admitted it.
Yeah.
Yen Xiaoran heaved a sigh of relief and said cheerfully, "Isn't this a good thing? Why are you crying?" "A good thing?" Lan Jie was stunned. "This is a good thing?" Chapter 9:14. What else could it be? Think about it. Your favorite streamer is your young aunt. Compared to those celebrity fans who chase their idols until the end of the day but can't even touch their idols and can't even say a word to them, you are simply a model of idolizing your idols, okay? Besides, you call her little aunt. If we treat her well, she'll treat us well. Think about the ginseng she gave us on Grandpa's birthday. Think about the medicinal cuisine she personally gave me when I was pregnant. Think about the barbecue we're going to eat later. Which one of these wouldn't make people jealous? What else are you unhappy about? Lan Jie stood rooted to the ground. He was so focused on feeling wrong that his family members who doted on him the most had deliberately lied to him and ruined his image in front of his idols. He, who had lost face, did not think about this. Seeing him like this, Yen Xiaoran couldn't help but sigh. She probed, "Why are you so angry? Are you angry that we helped her hide it from you? Or are you disappointed that little aunt didn't live up to your expectations?" Lan Jie trembled and subconsciously refuted. "Know what?" Yen Xiaoran stared into his eyes. "You're not angry that we hid it from you, or you're not angry that she's not good. She's not bad." Lan Jie paused and thought about it carefully. He couldn't find any fault with Su Yiyan. "Very good. Since she's very good, I just didn't expect her to be someone I've known for a long time. And she's even, nominally, she was a generation older than him." Yen Xiaoran misunderstood his meaning and gasped. "Little Yi, don't tell me you're eating from the bowl and looking at the pot, and have feelings for little aunt." Lan Jie was stunned for a moment and immediately shuddered. "Sister-in-law, what nonsense are you talking about? I have a girlfriend and little aunt is a married woman. How could I? Yen Xiaoran sized him up and made sure that he really didn't have any improper thoughts about Su Yiyan. Only then did she heave a sigh of relief. "That's good. I thought you were like those husband and wife fans who chase after idols with real feelings. They clearly have boyfriends and girlfriends in real life, but they still call them husband and wife. I'm not that kind of person. I do like the streamer very much, but that kind of like is the kind of worship and admiration for powerful and outstanding people. It has nothing to do with the love between a man and a woman." Yen Xiaoran looked at Lan Jie, who almost swore an oath to prove his innocence. The corners of her lips lifted slightly, and she asked knowingly, "Are you still angry now?" Lan Jie was silent for a moment before he said awkwardly, "A little, but I'm not as angry as before." "Recovered? What did you talk to young aunt about? Did you get mad at her?" "No, I asked her directly if she was the host. She admitted it and even apologized to me. I didn't accept her apology and ran away. She apologized to you, but you ran away before accepting it." Yen Xiaoran could not help but slap him on the back. "Are you stupid? How could you run away? Aren't you always good at praising people? Now that the main character is right in front of you, why are you mute? While little aunt is still feeling a little guilty towards you, why don't you take the opportunity to ask for some fan benefits and get her to help you open the back door and get a VVV? Lan Jie was suddenly enlightened. He instantly felt that he had opened the door to a new world, but also felt that he had missed out on 100 million. Chapter 9:15. Su Yiyan didn't know that someone was eyeing her husband's VVV. VIP privilege. The live broadcast venue was moved to the garden courtyard in front of the family Hua's old house. Su Yiyan had specially asked someone to custom make the barbecue rack a few days ago. It was an improved version of the ancient earth barbecue rack recorded in books. Not only did it come with small wheels, but it could be pushed, pulled, and folded. It was also very eye-catching, bright, and multifunctional. In addition to the square stove on the top, there was also a small square stove on the bottom. It could completely satisfy the needs of barbecue skewers on the top and roast chicken and duck on the bottom. Ling Xiaoqi and the others had just entered the courtyard when they were attracted by the barbecue rack. They gathered around the rack and chattered. Yinan, what's this rack for? It's a strange shape. It looks a bit like a box. I think it looks a bit like a cage. Look, there's a net on top. But the one at the bottom looks like a box. Look, there's even a handle. Su Yiyan listened to their discussion and explained with a smile, this is a barbecue rack. The one at the top is used to roast small things. The box at the bottom can be used to roast a whole chicken and duck. Su Yiyan originally wanted to make it bigger, like roast suckling pig and roast lamb. However, the small animals in this era were bigger than those on ancient Earth. It was really difficult to make an oven that could fit them. Therefore, Su Yiyan had no choice but to give up the idea. Even if she couldn't eat roast lamb and suckling pig, she could eat meat skewers. Su Yiyan added charcoal to the oven in front of everyone and brushed a layer of oil on the barbecue rack. Then, she reopened the live broadcast and set a limit in advance to ensure that other people's faces wouldn't appear on screen. Even if someone accidentally entered the camera, a cartoon avatar would be automatically added to protect the privacy of the person on screen. Not long ago, the viewers who had just finished watching the live stream of Stewing Soup saw the originally dark screen flash. The live stream was opened again, but the background had changed from the previous kitchen to an especially large and beautiful garden. This is a garden? The host's private garden? Oh my God, it's so big and beautiful. When I saw the host's previous live broadcasts, I already knew that the host was rich. Now that I've seen this garden, I'm once again sure that the host is really, really rich. Poverty limits my imagination. If I remember correctly, someone did a survey on the housing prices in City a few days ago. 1 square meter is more than 100,000 yuan. The courtyard of the streamer's house should be more than 100 square meters, right? Previous poster, you're too naive. 100,000 yuan per square meter was something that happened 2 years ago. Moreover, this price is only for ordinary buildings. You can only get it in a slightly more remote neighborhood. The host's house is obviously a private villa with its own courtyard. The price is at least 10 times higher, and it's priceless. It's basically passed down from the older generation, so it's impossible to buy it. The legacy of the older generation? So, was it true that the streamer came from a hidden big family? Previously, the host changed the background once. Many things in the kitchen seemed ordinary, but every single one of them was extremely expensive. It was really low-key and luxurious. At that time, I felt that the host had a strong background. Sure enough, sob, who gave me the courage to enter this live stream. According to the previous few people, with my small salary, I can't buy a toilet in someone's house even if I work hard for hundreds of years. Oh no, I can't buy a brick in someone's house. Chapter 9:16. For a moment, the live broadcast room was flooded with comments. All kinds of rich haters, jealous and envious comments flew past like a speeding motor, blocking the screen. Some of the new fans even wondered if they had entered the wrong live broadcast room. Wasn't this a gourmet live broadcast room? Why were they showing off their wealth all of a sudden? Su Yiyan didn't expect that such a small courtyard could be turned upside down by this group of people. They could smell the scent of money. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Ahem, okay, let's continue our previous live broadcast. Today, I've prepared a barbecue for everyone. This is the barbecue rack in front of me. The fire is already lit. Let's start with the barbecue. As Su Yiyan spoke, she placed the prepared meat skewers and seafood on the rack. The charcoal fire below was already burning. After a while, a loud sizzling sound came from the rack. The meat skewers that Su Yiyan asked her family to skewer were skewers of white meat and lean meat. When the meat was roasted, the oil from the white meat seeped onto the lean meat. Not only was it not oily, but it also whetted everyone's appetite. As time passed, the aroma of the barbecue changed qualitatively the moment Su Yiyan sprinkled the seasoning. Smoke rose in spirals, accompanied by the burnt aroma of the meat skewers and seafood, quickly pervading every corner of the courtyard. Gulp! The people who had surrounded Su Yiyan excitedly to see how Su Yiyan was going to cook the barbecue swallowed their saliva at the same time as the audience sitting in front of the screen. Their burning eyes stared at the meat skewers in Su Yiyan's hands. They couldn't wait to pounce on them and take a bite to satisfy their cravings. It's almost done. Su Yiyan glanced at the meat skewers in her hands. After confirming that they were cooked, she distributed them to the people around her. This was the first time she was trying to barbecue, so there weren't many skewers. One skewer per person was definitely not enough. The men present were very gentlemanly and gave the first skewer to the girls. Lan Jie also wanted to give his skewer to Yen Xiaoran, but just as he handed it over, Su Yiyan stopped him. Wait, it's not suitable for you to eat spicy food now. Eat these skewers. Su Yiyan said as he passed a few skewers of meat with a little salt to Yen Xiaoran. Yen Xiaoran blinked her eyes in confusion and tried to take a bite. She found that it was similar to the barbecue meat she usually ate, but there was a little more smoky charcoal and fruit aroma, and the texture was richer. Delicious! Hearing what she said, the people around her couldn't help but swallow their saliva again. However, they hadn't fallen to the point of fighting over food with a breastfeeding mother. They raised their heads and looked at Su Yiyan. Sui Yayan received the pitiful gazes of this group of people begging to be fed and could not help but laugh. It's good that it's delicious. Do you like to eat meat or vegetables? The ingredients are all here. If there's anything you want to eat, just tell me and I'll roast it for you. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes lit up. One by one, they rolled up their sleeves and excitedly went to pick the dishes. The viewers in the live stream who had just tasted the dish were not so happy. It's really delicious, but it's also really stifling. Why am I not the streamer's friend? I also want to be a guest at the streamer's house. When I think about how I can only taste it and can't even swallow it, but they can grab a few skewers and eat them all into their stomachs, the nutrient solution in my hands suddenly doesn't taste good anymore. Does the streamer still need friends? They have hundreds of millions of assets. They can sell goods, do laundry and sweep the floor. Chapter 9:17. I want to capture a local tycoon. I also want to ask the streamer what are the requirements for making friends? Someone as fair and beautiful as me, who can be both a front and an assistant, is that okay? Lan Jie looked at the large pile of messages asking to make friends on the screen. It was like a large-scale blind date scene. He suddenly understood what his sister-in-law had said before. A few days ago, he was still a member of the bullet screen, shouting and trying to attract the streamer's attention and eat the food she made. Now, he had become a member of the streamer's team and the target of envy and jealousy from her fans and colleagues. This feeling was really King awesome. Lan Jie, who suddenly felt a lot better, followed his sister-in-law happily to pick out vegetables with a subtle sense of superiority. Hu Chenhuan walked behind Su Yiyan, hugged her waist, and asked in a low voice, "Are you hot?" "No, are you hungry?" Su Yiyan said as she looked around. After making sure that everyone's attention was not on them, she took out a few pieces of freshly grilled squid and handed them to Hu Chenhuan. "I left it especially for you." However, she forgot that Ling Xiaoqi and the others were indeed not there, but the audience watching the live broadcast was still there. Report. The streamer used public resources for private use and secretly hid grilled squid for her husband. How can you face your friends who support and trust you? How can you face our bitter audience who can only watch but can't eat? Streamer, you're wrong. Didn't you say that you'll treat everyone equally? Why does he get special privileges? Woo, I don't accept it. Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of abused singles complaining that she opened the back door for her husband. Just as she was about to say something to comfort them, she heard the person beside her suddenly say, "It's useless to accept it." Hu Chenhuan glanced at the dense bullet screen and confidently declared her sovereignty. "Because I'm her husband. You're not." As soon as she finished speaking, the originally dense bullet screens suddenly became much emptier. If it were not for the fact that there were still a few sporadic comments that were only faintly passing by now, Su Yayan would have suspected that her live streaming room was lagging. After a short silence, it was followed by a blowout. "Oh, my bad temper. Tell me, do you want to fight? Although this is the truth, why does it sound like you're asking for a beating?" Silently grinding teeth. "Draw your sword, love rival. Let's fight. The winner will be the streamer, the loser will be a lurker. Silently draw my 40-meter machete." JPG. Strictly speaking, this should be the first time Hu Chenhuan appeared in the live streaming room, but the old viewers in Su Yayan's live streaming room seem to be familiar with him. However, this was the first time a certain someone appeared on screen, and he attracted a lot of hatred. Sus's. Fight? Why would I want to fight with you? Yen Yen was originally mine. Even if I didn't hit her, she would still be mine. If that's the case, why should I fight with you? Do you have nothing better to do? After Hu Chenhuan mocked the crowd, he still felt that it wasn't enough. He took a bite of the grilled squid that Su Yiyen had specially reserved for him and enjoyed it. It's so fragrant. Like chickens and ducks, the squid of this era was also a giant. Even if you stuffed your mouth full, you could only eat half a squid leg. The squid meat was firm and chewy. With the addition of pepper, it was hot and fragrant. It was not inferior to the pork skewers from before. Chapter 9:18. After being stimulated by Hu Chenhuan's proud and straightforward public display of affection, the audience was also stimulated by Hu Chenhuan's shameless behavior. Some poor single people were so angry that they cried on the spot. Realizing that they might not be able to win against this shameless man, many viewers tactfully brought up Su Yiyen and complained on the spot. "Host, your husband is bullying us. Are you going to do something about it? Just tell us if you are going to do something about it or not." "That's right. Host, are you just going to watch your husband bully us? Didn't we agree to be each other's little cutie forever?" Su Yiyen did not expect that the fire of war would burn her head without warning. Under the meaningful gaze of her man, she decisively abandoned the rook to save the king. She coughed softly and said, "What little cutie? Don't talk nonsense. This is my little cutie. Don't bully him." Row after row of ellipses lined up, just like the cold hearts of the audience in the live broadcast room at this moment. "I can't stand this grievance. I'll turn from a fan to an anti-fan for 1 minute. Host, you've changed. You're no longer the gentle, considerate, upright, and kind host from before. It's all this dog man's fault for leading you astray. It's all this dog man's fault. When you love her, you call her sweetie or cutie. When you don't love her anymore, you abandon her and throw yourself into someone else's arms. Sure enough, the heartless people in this world are all the same. What makes the host go against her conscience and ask the victim not to bully the perpetrator? It's love. What makes my eyes teary? It's my heart that has been abandoned by the host like a pair of worn-out shoes." The lively pop-up screen instantly turned into a large-scale drama scene. Su Yiyen was embarrassed and amused at the same time. She turned her head and met the eyes of her man, who seemed to be smiling yet not smiling. "Little cutie?" Su Yiyen's expression suddenly froze, but she quickly remembered that she was in the middle of a live broadcast. There were 7 to 8 figures of viewers in the live broadcast room staring at her. She couldn't back down. "Isn't it?" Hu Chenhuan saw the change in Su Yiyen's expression. How could he not see that she was pretending to be tough? Yes. Hu Chenhuan pointed at his own cheek. "My dear wife, won't you consider giving your little cutie a reward?" Su Yiyen was stunned, and her little face turned red from her cheeks to her neck. Because of Hu Chenhuan's words, the dense bullet screen went blank for a moment. In the next few seconds, everyone in the live stream was waiting, including Hu Chenhuan. In the end, Su Yiyen couldn't resist her man's eager gaze. With a slight blush, she leaned over and kissed Hu Chenhuan lightly. Su Yiyen, who thought that he had done it very discreetly, had underestimated the effect of the live broadcast equipment. What just happened? Did you all hear that? Or is it just my imagination? You're telling me that it's a hallucination? Dead fish eyes staring at people. JG, so it was a kiss, right? It was a kiss, right? And it was the host who took the initiative. What's with this feeling of a cabbage taking the initiative to kiss a pig? C, I'm going to die from anger. A well-known female host actually did this kind of thing in the live broadcast room. Is it the degeneration of human nature or the decay of morality? I used to think that I was following a food host, but I found out that I was following a health host. When I finally accepted that I was following a health host, I found out that she was a King Crazypedia host. Before a dog dies, no couple is innocent. Chapter 9:19. The single spectators, who had been successfully abused, cried out. The only thing that comforted them was that other than them, the other invited guests were also abused. When Lan Jie and the others returned from choosing their dishes, they found that there were 2 people in front of the grill instead of 1. More importantly, the 2 of them were feeding each other as they barbecued. They had turned the outdoor barbecue into a feeding contest, competing to see who could feed more. The crowd, who had been unexpectedly abused, was speechless. They were here to eat barbecue, not to eat dog food. But they had to admit that with Hua Chinwan's participation, the speed of the barbecue sped up a lot. The crowd, who were already hungry from the first batch of barbecue, quickly got to eat the delicacies they had been longing for. They took their plates and quickly left the couple, who were showing off their affection as if there was no one else around. I actually ate the meat skewers that young master personally barbecued. Oh my God, am I dreaming? If this gets out, I don't know how many people will die of jealousy. Yu Zian looked at the 6 or 7 meat skewers in his hand. He was in disbelief, but also a little proud and complacent. Not everyone could eat the meat skewers that their young master had personally barbecued. Zui Yanbai glanced at Yu Zian with disdain. You've eaten young madam's food at least 3 or 4 times before. Why are you making such a fuss? How is that the same? Young madam is young madam, and young master is young master. How can you mix them up? Yu Zian turned to Gu Xiaoyang and said, Xiaoyang, pinch Yanbai and see if it's true. Okay. Gu Xiaoyang was a little confused. He subconsciously reached out to pinch Zui Yanbai. Fortunately, Zui Yanbai's reaction wasn't slow. When he saw Gu Xiaoyang's outstretched hand, he retreated and avoided Gu Xiaoyang's evil claws. Wait, if you think you're dreaming, just pinch yourself. Why pinch me? It hurts to pinch myself. I'm not stupid. The veins on Zui Yanbai's forehead throbbed when he heard this. He gritted his teeth and said, It hurts to pinch you, but doesn't it hurt to pinch me? Your skin is rough and thick, so the pain will pass. Unlike me, my skin is so tender and tender. Just a bump would bruise my skin for half a month. What's more, just a pinch. Yu Zian proudly showed off his fair right hand as he spoke. Zui Yanbai smiled coldly. Yes. I'm a rough-looking person. I'm 1.8 meters tall, 1.2 meters long legs and 8 packs. She can't compare to young Master Yu, who has been eating fresh flowers and drinking dew since he was young. Yu Zian's. And enough, you two. Stop arguing. Is the barbecued meat not fragrant enough, or are young master and young madam too tolerant? How dare you make trouble in young master's house? I think you're too arrogant. Gu Xiaoyang's words reminded them of their situation. They, who had been bickering with each other, suddenly became weak. They sat down reluctantly, but they didn't intend to forgive each other. Oomph. Gu Xiaoyang looked at the 2 of them, who turned their faces away and ate without looking at each other. He had a splitting headache and felt that he was in a difficult position. Chapter 9:20. On the other hand, Ning Xiyuan was obsessed with taking photos and videos of the grilled meat and vegetables on his plate. What are you doing? Ling Xiaoqi was a little confused by the scene. Although taking photos before eating was not a girl's privilege, Ning Xiyuan did not look like someone who would do such a thing. I'm taking photos and sending them to my brother. Your brother? Ling Xiaoqi had heard Ning Xiyuan mention his family's situation before. She knew that he had a younger brother who was a celebrity and seemed to be from Su Yiyan's company. He went out of town to film a variety show 2 days ago and will only be back after a week. I heard that the place is relatively remote and the conditions are very difficult. He can't eat or sleep well, so he has to do everything himself. Ning Chirue had indeed taken on a variety show recently. He claimed that he was going to experience life in the most beautiful places in the country. When Ning Chirue heard the words, "the most beautiful place," he excitedly packed up his things and ran over. When he arrived, he suffered a critical blow from reality. The scenery was beautiful, but the living conditions were too backward. Ning Chirue was beaten up by reality on his first day there. There was really nothing in the place. Not only did he live in a straw hut, he could not even buy a good nutrient solution, which forced Ning Chirue to gnaw on tree bark. Not only that, but the fans nowadays also loved to see the miserable looks of big celebrities. They claimed that they wanted to uncover the unknown side of the celebrities and let everyone see the contrast between them and the celebrities. For the sake of that little bit of ratings, the production team had put in a lot of effort to train them. Ning Chirue had only been gone for 2 days, but when he contacted them, he was no longer in the high spirits and enthusiasm he had before he left. All that was left was deep regret and bitter tears. The younger brother was suffering and starving far away, while the older brother was eating and drinking well at the boss's house. One could imagine how devastated Ning Chirue would be after seeing these photos and videos. Ling Xiaoqi heard the gloating in Ning Siyuan's words and said with a subtle expression, "You're too bad." When Ning Siyuan heard Ling Xiaoqi's words, he was not angry but happy. He smiled slyly and said, "It's good that you're bad." Isn't there a saying that women don't like bad men? Ling Xiaoqi didn't expect him to say such a sentence. She was stunned for a while before she reacted. She raised her eyebrows and said, "Why? Do you want other women to love you too?" "I just need a little kitten to love me." Ling Xiaoqi blushed. It was Ning Siyuan who saved her when they first met. After that, Ning Siyuan personally sent her home. After they got together, Ling Xiaoqi did ask him why he fell in love with her. Ning Siyuan's explanation was, "Love at first sight. At that time, you were frightened and looked at me pitifully like a homeless kitten." From then on, the term "little kitten" became a tacit little secret between the two of them. Ning Siyuan's sudden mention of it was like a critical hit to Ling Xiaoqi. How could she still care about Ning Siyuan's teasing words? When Hua followed the smell of meat skewers to find her owner, she saw such a scene. Her owner blushed and sat in her seat in a daze. Then, she seemed to have thought of something and looked up to glare at the person beside her. Hua knew that her master's use of two-legged words was called anger from embarrassment. She was embarrassed and not really angry. Chapter 9:21. Not only was his master's boyfriend not angry at being glared at, he was also not afraid. He only looked at his master dotingly. It was clearly just eye contact without any physical contact, but it made people feel that they were compatible. Just by looking at them, it made people feel that nothing could come between them. Hua stared at the two for a while, then turned and ran away without alarming anyone. Dun Dun watched his wife run away. He was squatting in the corner of the yard next to the dog hole, drawing circles. He was just about to take the initiative to look for his wife. Then he realized that his wife had run back on her own. Woof 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 woof. Dun Dun's spirits were lifted. He happily rushed over and ran in circles around Hua. What was unexpected was that Hua, who would usually impatiently slap him down, didn't do anything this time. Instead, she silently allowed a certain someone to have fun. Hua raised its chin slightly and glanced at the silly dog who was trying hard to please it. Isn't he just a silly husband? Who doesn't have one? This prawn is delicious. I specially asked them to buy prawns with more meat. I've also picked out the prawns so you can eat them. Su Yiyan handed a few grilled prawns to Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan did not eat immediately after receiving them. Instead, she took out one of the prawns, peeled the shell, and handed it to Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan did not hesitate and ate it in one bite. Huo Chenhuan smiled slightly and continued peeling the shell. When the second prawn was handed over, Su Yiyan was unwilling to eat it. "You eat too. Don't just feed me." It's inconvenient for you to have something on your hands. Su Yiyan still did not eat. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed when she saw this. She moved closer to Su Yiyan and threatened her. If you don't eat obediently, do you want me to kiss you in front of so many people? Su Yiyan was stunned and glared at a certain someone who was extremely daring. The audience in the live broadcast room heard this and exploded. Did I hear wrongly? Did the streamer's husband just say he wanted to kiss the streamer? That's right. What's with not eating obediently? Is he treating the streamer as a child and coaxing her? Oh my, why is it a little cute and a little sour? Come on. Kiss, kiss, kiss. I'll kiss you now. I'll kiss you immediately. I'm not a man if I don't kiss you. That's right. What's the point of flirting? If you're a man, take action. The streamer took the initiative to kiss you before. How can you not kiss her back? Kiss back, kiss back, kiss back. It could be seen that the audience had gradually calmed down after being abused by the two of them. If they didn't want to be abused, the best way was to take the lead and support the couple. If you dare to show off, I'll support you. Who's afraid of who? Su Yiyan's expression was erratic. At a glance, she saw the comments that were all over the screen encouraging Hua Chenhuan to kiss her. The corner of her mouth twitched slightly, and she was secretly speechless at these people's desire to see the world in chaos. Just as she was about to turn off the bullet screen, out of sight, out of mind, she heard Hua Chenhuan's low chuckle. It seems that they all want me to kiss you. Su Yiyan was shocked. When she turned her head, she realized that Hua Chenhuan had unknowingly moved closer to her and had a panoramic view of the comments floating by on the bullet screen. Those words on the bullet screen were clearly not from her, but Su Yiyan still felt inexplicably ashamed that she had been caught by Leng Wuji. In order to regain some face for herself, Su Yiyan snorted coldly and pretended to be angry. Do you do what they say? Do you feel that whether you kiss me or not depends on whether other people want to kiss me or not, and not whether you want to kiss me or not? Here she is, a tsundere streamer who says one thing and means another. Chapter 922. TSK, if the host's husband dares to say no, he'll have to kneel on the washboard when he goes back. Don't ask me how I know, this is a lesson learned by blood. Vicissitudes of life lighting up smoke. JPG, host, kissing me depends on other people's opinions. Do you want to kiss me, or do the audience want to kiss me? Upstairs, although we really want to kiss the host, we can't, right? We can only reluctantly let the host's husband do it for us. Aya, why haven't you kissed me yet? I've prepared the nutrient solution, I'm just waiting to see the two of you kiss. The screen was full of comments encouraging Hua Chenhuan, but to everyone's surprise, after reading these comments, Hua Chenhuan was unwilling to kiss in front of so many people. She narrowed her eyes and sneered. It's mine, I won't let you see it. My wife, can't I kiss you anytime? Why do I have to kiss you people? I won't. When we get off the stream, we can kiss however we want. It's just the two of us, no one can see. It was just a few words, but it made the audience, who had wanted to watch a good show, angry. I'm so angry that I'm laughing. We can't even see your faces, we can't even hear your voices. Sob sob sob, I used to think that the host's husband was very good, rich, and doting on his wife. After hearing this, I'm disillusioned. Good my ass, this is a stingy person. This isn't stingy, it's possessiveness. The host's husband is declaring his sovereignty to us. Doghead. So, why do I have to torture myself here? The hosts in other streaming rooms are so sweet. They spend more money and show their faces if they want to, and act cute if they want to. But here? It's fine if I can't see their faces, but I get angry so easily. I'm depressed. Our host doesn't lack money. If we really spend money and ask the host to do this and that, our streaming room would have been flooded with all kinds of gifts long ago. Have you forgotten the famous scene where the top dad was warned by the host in the battle with the new boss not long ago? Su Yiyan's heart skipped a beat when she saw this comment. She looked at Hua Chenhuan as if she sensed something. No wonder a certain someone was so clingy today. This was the first time he appeared in her streaming room. Previously, when he was not online, he could only compete with Do Tianyi in the livestream channel by throwing money to win the other party. It was not easy to show off their love openly. It was not only to reveal their true feelings, but also to warn those who were hiding behind the screen, including Do Tianyi. Su Yiyan was taken. Whoever dared to lay their hands on her should be prepared to be chopped off by him. Understanding this, Su Yiyan could not help but reveal a sweet smile on her face. At this moment, Lan Minghan, who had rushed back to the company to deal with some matters and missed a lot of delicious food, finally arrived. As soon as he entered the door, he saw the two of them being lovey-dovey. He couldn't help but cough lightly to make his presence felt. "You're here." Yen Xiaoran's eyes lit up when she saw her husband. She got up and ran over to welcome him. "Where's the child?" "She's playing with Auntie's baby inside." "Have the company's matters been settled?" "Are you hungry?" "It's all settled." As for whether he was hungry or not, Lan Minghan's gaze subconsciously drifted to the fragrant skewers in Su Yiyan's hands. The meaning behind his gaze was self-evident. Su Yiyan was very familiar with Lan Minghan's gaze. She handed the skewers in her hands to Huo Chenhuan and smiled slightly. "You came at the right time. If you came any later, the delicious food would have been gone." Immediately, everyone saw Su Yiyan bend over and open the small oven below. She used a pair of pliers to pull out a large black lump that seemed to be charred. Chapter 923. Lan Jie was originally a curious baby. As soon as the black ball rolled out, he spontaneously went over to poke it. "Don't move, it's still very hot. Do you want to cook your little hoof?" Lan Jie was shocked. He silently lowered his head to look at his white and slender little hoof, and sullenly withdrew his hand. "It seems to be soil." "Soil?" Lan Minghan's expression suddenly became subtle. This was what little Aunt meant by delicious food. Could it be that she wanted him to eat soil? Was he going to eat or not? Lan Minghan was instantly caught in a dilemma. Su Yiyan was oblivious to Lan Minghan's inner struggle. He took a small hammer and hit the black ball. With a crack, the outer layer of soil cracked open, revealing the yellowed lotus leaves inside. "There's something inside." Lan Jie's eyes lit up slightly, like a child who had found a special toy. Su Yiyan reached out to take the thing out of the soil, but was stopped by Huo Chenhuan. "Let me," Huo Chenhuan said as he took out the thing and put it on the table beside him before Su Yiyan could. Su Yiyan took his hand and glanced at it. After making sure that it wasn't scalded, he walked over and cut the rope that tied the lotus leaves. He lifted the lotus leaves that were wrapped in several layers, and a roasted chicken appeared in front of everyone. Su Yiyan tried to poke the chicken with chopsticks. The chicken's belly was immediately poked open, revealing all kinds of spices, shrimps, diced meat, mushrooms, bamboo shoots, and other side dishes hidden in the belly. The fragrance that was locked inside was also completely released. This is called beggar's chicken. According to legend, a beggar, who was a beggar, accidentally got a chicken, but he didn't have any spices. Helpless, he could only throw the chicken into the fire to roast it. But the one I made is an improved version. I added some ingredients and side dishes. Before I covered it with mud, I wrapped it with many layers of lotus leaves so that it won't get dirty even if it's covered with mud. The lotus leaves are the leaves of the lotus. Previously, I said that the lotus is a treasure. There are lotus seeds in the lotus pod, and there are lotus roots at the bottom. The flowers, lotus roots, and lotus seeds can all be eaten. The lotus leaves can also be used to wrap some food and cook it with flavor. Speaking of this, Su Yiyan drew a big picture for everyone present. The beggar's chicken is just one of the cooking methods. Next time, I'll make lotus leaf glutinous rice chicken for you. It's also very delicious. Although the audience present and the live stream viewers did not know what the lotus leaf glutinous rice chicken looked like, many of them were already craving it after hearing what Su Yiyan said. "But, Auntie, can we eat this now?" Lan Jie almost blurted it out as he looked at Su Yiyan eagerly. "That's enough." Everyone's eyes lit up. They couldn't wait to attack. But considering that there were other people around and that they were in the live stream, they resisted this impulse. They scurried around and found the chopsticks. Finally, They reached out their evil claws to the chicken filled with this sinful aroma. The chicken skin on the surface of the chicken had become fresh, thin, and soft because of the long-term roasting. When they ate it, they could even taste a faint burnt aroma. The fragrance of the lotus leaves slowly penetrated into the chicken during the roasting process, making the chicken crispy, fat, and tender. The lotus fragrance assailed their nostrils. Coupled with the various seasonings and side dishes inside, everyone was mesmerized by the taste after just one bite. How is it? Is it delicious? Su Yiyan asked subconsciously when she saw that they didn't speak after eating. Chapter 9:24. This question brought everyone back to their senses. Lan Jia was her fan to begin with. Now that a fan had appeared and even had the chance to eat the delicious meal that his idol had personally cooked, he couldn't hold back his belly full of praise. Delicious, delicious, very delicious. I've never eaten such delicious chicken in my life. It's obviously covered in soil, but there's no earthy taste at all. There's only the fragrance of the leaves. The outer layer is crispy, fragrant, and a little sweet. The chicken isn't as dry as the barbecue meat I've eaten before. Instead, it's very tender. I feel like the meat is going to melt in my mouth. It's so delicious. Lan Jiaye's outburst stunned everyone, and it also made the audience in the streaming room temporarily shift their attention away from the food. 666, what kind of celestial brother is this? He actually said all the things I wanted to say but didn't know how to say. I'll give you a like. Streamer, tell me honestly. To be your friend, do I have to learn how to flatter first? If so, I'll go and learn right now. How is this flattery? It's the truth, okay? If I can eat a meal cooked by the streamer, I can totally write a 3,000-word review of flattery. Hurry up and let me do it. TSK. I was originally quite happy because I ate a lot of good food today, but when I heard this brother's flattery, I instantly felt that the chicken in my hand wasn't delicious anymore. Sob sob sob, for the 11,220th time, I want to be the streamer's friend and eat a meal cooked by the streamer. Touch the person above. Go to sleep. There's everything in your dreams. After Lan Jia finished speaking, he realized that he had lost his composure. When he met the surprised and confused gazes of the people around him, he froze on the spot as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. Lan Minghan could understand his brother's feelings. Ahem, Jia is right. This chicken is indeed delicious. It's better than what I've eaten before. The others reacted and hurriedly echoed, yay. Although the barbecue just now was also delicious, the taste is different from that one. They both have their own advantages. It's hard to choose. Eat more if it's delicious. There's no need to choose. It wasn't easy to invite you all here. How can I let you all go home hungry? As Su Yan spoke, he glanced at Yan Xiaoran and smiled faintly. If you feel that it's a bit too much to eat only vegetables and meat, there's some porridge in the kitchen. It's not bad. Yan Xiaoran received Su Yan's gaze and was startled. She quickly realized that the beggar's chicken and porridge were not specially prepared for her. The barbecue didn't have any seasonings like pepper. On the contrary, the beggar's chicken was sweet and delicious to her. It was neither salty nor bland, which suited her taste. When they heard that there was porridge to Yan's to be had to eat a bowl. The beggar, to eat, the beggar eat barbecue. To eat barbecue eat. The to eat to the stream to eat to the point to eat. S asterisk asterisk to the asterisk asterisk. To the asterisk when they were almost done eating, Su Yiyan temporarily gave the barbecue position to Huo Chenhuan. He returned to the small kitchen to check on the stewed soups. After a few hours of stewing, the soups were already very tasty. When the lids were lifted, the house was filled with the unique smell of medicinal herbs. It wasn't very fragrant, but it wasn't bad either. Especially the 4-ingredient stewed chicken. When the lid was lifted, the smell rushed to the tip of the nose and lingered for a long time. It was hard to ignore. Chapter 9:25. Next, let's draw a prize. Streamer, can you draw some barbecue for free? I want to eat it. There's also beggar's chicken. I want to eat beggar's chicken. Looking up to the sky and crying out loud. JPG, I'm sorry. For barbecue, the ingredients prepared today are basically used up. I really can't give it away. Everyone. Were those guys pigs? They could eat so much. But on second thought, if they could be invited to the streamer's home as guests like them and eat the dishes made by the streamer, even if their stomachs burst, they wouldn't be willing to let go of any delicious food. I can give away one beggar's chicken. I just put 2 or 3 in. I didn't eat much, so there should be 1 left. Let's draw a lucky audience to give it to me. No matter how good a person's appetite was, the capacity of the stomach was limited. Ling Xiaoqi and others ate a lot of barbecue and porridge. Although the chicken was delicious, they couldn't eat it all. At least there was 1 left. What? Oh my God, did I hear it wrong? It's a whole one, not a piece of meat or a leg. It's a whole one. Streamer, look at me. I'm a loyal fan of the streamer. I've watched all of the streamer's previous live broadcasts, and I've given rewards for each one. For the sake of my love for you, please give me the prize. Get out of here. Why are you playing the emotional card at this time? What's so great about being an old fan? We're also old fans of the streamer. We've watched all of the streamer's live broadcasts. As for the rewards, if you have the ability, you can compete with the top one on the list. Let's see if he can beat you to death. Jade Emperor, Queen Mother, God, Jesus, Zeus, Apollo, and all the gods above. I'm willing to exchange my fat for this barbecue chicken. Please let me be the winner. Although according to the usual practice, there would be a lot of people cramming in the bullet screen at the last minute and praying for a lucky draw, it was the first time Su Yayan had seen so many people spamming the bullet screen as enthusiastically as today. It could be seen how charming this whole chicken was. However, no matter how these people begged, there was only 1 lucky person after all. Congratulations to the lucky audience, Yaya Hometown Ming, for getting a beggar's chicken. Please send me a private message as soon as possible. The prize will be sent out in a few minutes. Please check it carefully. As soon as Su Yan's voice fell, the man sitting in front of the office computer jumped up and said excitedly, I got it. I got it. No, it's me. This lucky audience member is you? The big boss's voice came from behind her. Only then did Liu realize that she had been too excited and yelled in front of the big boss. His face, which had been flushed with excitement, turned pale. Dou Tianyi saw that he did not speak for a long time. His eyes narrowed dangerously as he said coldly, Don't make me ask a second time. Liu was shocked and quickly said, It's my sister's account. I borrowed it. Your sister's number? Dou Tianyi's mind flashed, and a look of understanding flashed across his face. A long time ago, someone had mentioned that a large proportion of the lucky audience members in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room were female accounts. Few male accounts could get the patronage of the goddess of luck. For this reason, there were even people who questioned whether Su Yiyan had adjusted the probability of male and female accounts to discriminate against male accounts. However, not long after this question was posted, it was blocked by the website for deliberately slandering the host. The audience in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room did not feel anything. After all, the lucky draw relied on a bit of luck. Chapter 926. After Su Yiyan became popular, she attracted a lot of jealous people. They were used to all kinds of strange ways to slander her. Seeing that the other party was banned, they didn't care too much about this problem. Dou Tianyi didn't think so. He always felt that the data behind was not as simple as it looked. And the person who caused this may not be Su Yiyan herself, but it may be. Inform the financial department to transfer you a sum of money according to the auction price. Put it into my account. Liu's heart skipped a beat. He knew that Dou Tianyi was going to spend money to buy the beggar's chicken from him. Although he could get money, if he had a choice, he really didn't want to give up the chicken. Sob. It was not easy to be lucky. He really wanted to eat it. Dou Tianyi didn't understand the pain in his assistant's heart. He stared at the busy figure on the screen and tried to suppress the impulse to grab the person. He whispered, "Wait, wait." Before the prey fell into the trap, the hunter needed to be patient enough to wait for the right time. After the lottery, Su Yiyan packed several prizes and sent them out. Then she was ready to go back to the yard. But she didn't expect to meet someone just at the door of the kitchen. Little ant. Su Yiyan was amused by Lan Jie's hesitant look. Do you want to settle accounts with me again? No. No, I didn't want to settle accounts with you. What you said before made sense. I didn't ask anything and assumed that you were a fan of the streamer like me. If you insist, I'm the one with the bigger problem. I also have a certain responsibility. I didn't want people to know that I was the streamer in the live broadcast room. So, when you asked me if I was a fan, I didn't say anything. But in a way, it was a tacit admission. I did give you some wrong information when I faced you and made you misunderstand. Why don't you want people to know that you are the streamer? There are so many people on the internet who like you. They like the streamer Yan Yan, not your little ant Su Yiyan. Lan Jie looked blank. What's the difference? You two are clearly the same person. It's the same person, but as far as I'm concerned, Su Yiyan is Su Yiyan, and the host is the host. Back then, the reason why I chose to do a live broadcast was because I wanted to bring these things back to the public. At the same time, he could also accumulate favorability points to speed up the activation of skill points and unlock Chinese medicinal herbs to treat Hu Chenhuan's leg. The intention is good, but that doesn't mean that I have to sacrifice my real life to serve it. You just said that there are many people who like me online, but there are also many people who don't like me. If I don't let them know that I'm the host, no matter how much they hate me, they can only talk about me online. But if they found out, they might come to the real world to disgust me and my family. I don't want this to affect my current life and my family. Lan Jie was stunned for a while before he mumbled, "So, you're still refusing to show your face in the live stream? Then why did you invite me and my brother today? You're different. You're my fans, and you have a good relationship with Chenhuan. Chenhuan trusts you, so I naturally trust you too." When Lan Jie heard this, he felt flowers blooming in his heart. He suddenly understood the happiness of those girls who chased after celebrities. So, this was what it felt like to be an idol? It seemed like he could continue to be a fan. Chapter 9:27. Lan Jie looked at Su Yiyan, touched. He was about to say something to express his determination as a fan when he heard Su Yiyan add, "Of course, the main reason is that our Chenhuan is a senior in the family, and he's protective of his loved ones. If you dare to leak this out..." Lan Jie raised his head in a daze and met Su Yiyan's devilish smile. "I'll let him beat you up." Lan Jie. Was it too late for him to quit being a fan? Don't blame your brother and sister-in-law. I asked them to hide it from me. First, I didn't want people to know so early. Second, I was afraid that you'd feel awkward after knowing the truth. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't blame them. Su Yiyan saw that he was still in a daze. She smiled and teased him. Of course, it's okay if you want to blame them. I don't think you can beat them anyway. If not, I'll ask Chenhuan to be the first to beat you up. Anyway, you definitely can't beat Chenhuan. Lan Jie. Not only did he want to quit being a fan, but he also wanted to step on her. When the two of them came out of the house, there was a huge contrast. Su Yiyan was all smiles as if she had won a battle. Lan Jie's eyes were unfocused as if he had suffered a huge blow. Hu Chenhuan saw the two strange expressions. Su Yiyan walked over and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong with that guy?" Su Yiyan chuckled and said slyly, "Nothing. He just helped you establish your authority as an elder." Hu Chenhuan frowned slightly but did not ask. She only checked the surveillance footage from Yuan's database and found out the whole story. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That night, she tortured this little liar who used her connections to intimidate others several times. The next morning, Hu Chenhuan did not go to the Hu Corporation. Instead, she asked the driver to send her to a remote and run-down suburban district. "Who is it?" The woman in the small rental house heard the knock and walked out. She peeked through the crack in the door but was stunned when she saw the person's face. "How did you?" Hua Chenhuan looked at her expressionlessly and said coldly, "Is it convenient to talk inside?" The woman, Xue Xiaoyu, who had tricked Hua Chenhuan and now lived alone, stared at Hua Chenhuan for a while. Then she opened the door and let her in. The house where Xue Xiaoai lived now was the old house where her family used to live. Xue Xiaoai's father started from scratch. Even after they made money from their business, they didn't give up the old house that they bought with their first bucket of gold. Xue Xiao had lived here for more than 20 years. It could be said that there were too many memories of her in this house. Unfortunately, back then, the Xue family's capital chain was broken and they owed a huge debt. As the couple's joint property, this house was auctioned off to pay off the debt. After the death of his parents and sister, Xue Xiao was depressed for a period of time. After he cheered himself up, he began to earn money desperately to buy back the house. Unfortunately, her ability was limited. Besides, she already had the idea of revenge against Hua Qihan. She was also worried that if this house was registered under her name, it would arouse Hua Qihan's suspicion and then her identity would be discovered. In the end, Hua Chenhuan helped her solve this problem and returned the house to its original owner. After Hua Chenhuan entered the house, she glanced around quietly and her eyes flashed slightly. The house with 3 rooms and 1 living room was not big, but it was decorated very cozily. It could be seen that Xue Xiao had put in a lot of effort in this aspect after taking back the house. Chapter 9:28. Xue Xiao took a glass of water and put it in front of Hua Chenhuan. He sat opposite Hua Chenhuan like an old friend and said lightly, "I thought you wouldn't come to me again after Hua Qihan was arrested. I thought you wanted me to come to you." Xue Xiaoyu's expression was slightly stiff. She lowered her head and did not speak. Hua Chenhuan did not want to beat around the bush with her and said directly, "Hua Qihan wanted to steal my child. Why didn't you tell me in advance?" "It's not that I didn't tell you in advance. Although Hua Qihan took me with him, he usually avoided me and didn't let me know about this kind of thing." Hua Chenhuan's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You are lying." "I didn't lie." Xue Xiaoyu was not afraid of Hua Chenhuan at all. She smiled sarcastically and hollowly. "When Hua Qihan contacted that woman, he did avoid me. Maybe in his eyes, I was just a daughter flower attached to him. If I hadn't shown my deep affection for him when he was betrayed by his friends and family and fully satisfied his male chauvinism vanity, I'm afraid he would have thrown me away long ago. However, no matter how careful he was, I still heard it." When Xue Xiaoyu said this, her eyes stared at Hua Chenhuan unreservedly. She was calm, and numb. It seemed that she didn't care whether Hua Chenhuan would be angry after hearing this, let alone whether he would retaliate against her after this. Hua Chenhuan's eyes were slightly cold. She had already understood the real purpose of Xue Xiaoyu's action. "You want to kill Hua Qihan with a borrowed knife. You want me to help you kill him. I am sorry for you and your wife, but I don't regret it." Xue Xiaoyu was a spy that Hua Chenhuan buried beside Hua Qihan. She helped Hua Chenhuan to keep an eye on the family Hua's every move and stir up trouble to make Hua Qihan betray his friends and family. But this time, Xue Xiaoyu got the news in advance that Hua Qihan colluded with the servants of the old house to steal Hua Chenhuan's child, but she kept silent from the beginning to the end. You knew where Hua Qihan was hiding. You played with him like a cat playing with a mouse, making him see hope and fall into deeper despair. But it's far from enough for me. Speaking of this, Xue Xiao took a deep breath. What would have happened if he had been caught? He would be imprisoned for a lifetime, but Xue Xiaoyu. She wanted Hua Qihan to die. Of course. She knew that his wife and children were Hua Chenhuan's sore spot. As long as they were touched, Hua Qihan would have no reason to continue living. Of this deal. She felt that she was losing us. Of this deal. Of this deal. Hua Chenhuan looked at her and frowned slightly. He seemed to realize something and said, "Do you want to die?" Xue Xiaoyu knew that she would offend her. If she really wanted to get out of this matter, she should have gone as far as possible after Hua Qihan was arrested. She should have gone as far as she could, instead of staying here and waiting for her to find her. The only explanation was that she never wanted to live from the beginning. Taking revenge on Hua Qihan was the only driving force that kept her alive. The only thing she wanted to do now was to see him pay the price for all the things he had done. Then she would go to this familiar place to find her family. Hua Chenhuan was silent for a long time and suddenly got up. The result of Hua Qihan's case will be out in a month. Xue Xiaoyu was slightly stunned and smiled. Really? That's great. Hua Chenhuan glanced at her and turned to go out. But the moment she stepped out of the door, she whispered, "Leave here and find a place where no one knows you to start over." Chapter 929. Xue Xiao's eyes widened, looking at Hua Chenhuan's back in disbelief. "You?" Hua Chenhuan ignored her surprise and was about to leave. Xue Xiao chased after him. "Don't you want to take revenge on me?" Hua Chenhuan frowned slightly. "Do you want me to take revenge on you?" "That's not it." Xue Xiao looked up and down at Hua Chenhuan and chuckled. "I just feel strange that you are not such a gentle person. It's Yan Yan's idea." "Yan Yan?" Xue Xiao's mind flashed. "Your wife?" Compared to sacrificing yourself to avenge your family and reunite with them by committing suicide, your family may want you to live happily for the rest of your life. Did your wife also say this? Xue Xiao was slightly surprised, but felt that it was reasonable. When they first met, Hua Chenhuan was not married yet. At that time, Xue Xiao immediately felt the similar atmosphere in him. But since he got married, Xue Xiao could feel the change in him more than anyone else. And the person who caused all these changes was undoubtedly his wife. "Your wife is really a gentle person." Xue Xiao was a little envious and jealous. "You are very lucky." At the most unfortunate time, he met the light that could illuminate him and the person who was willing to pull him out of the swamp. Hearing her words, Hua Chenhuan's expression softened. Xue Xiao couldn't help but feel a little jealous, sighing, "For the sake of your wife, I will give you a gift." A gift? Hua Qihan had no choice but to record it when he was desperate. "I think you should be interested in it." Xue Xiao took out a recording pen from her pocket and handed it to Hua Chenhuan. This recording pen was very small, with a large capacity and a wide range of recording distance. After Xue Xiao followed Hua Qihan, she took this pen almost every day, in order to record evidence that could overthrow Hua Qihan at any time and place. "This is a recording that I secretly recorded when he was on the phone with someone when he was running away with me. At that time, he seemed to have a dispute with the other party over money. I roughly heard that it seemed to be related to the death of your parents." Hua Chenhuan's eyes narrowed slightly. She grabbed the recording pen and turned it on. Hua Qihan's exasperated voice immediately came out. "I can't even protect myself now. Where am I going to find such a large sum of money for you?" "What do you mean? Threatening me? What happened back then? What else can you do other than threaten me with what happened back then? Don't forget that you were the mastermind behind the incident back then. At best, I was just a little pawn who provided information for you. You were the ones who sent people to attack them, and you were the ones who tampered with the car. Zheng Qianyang is in the country right now. Do you really think that he suddenly came back just to take a look at my vicious brother?" "Heh, if you're not worried about exposing your whereabouts and being hunted down by Zheng Qianyang and the fish that escaped the net back then, you can publicize what happened back then. For so many years, every time you don't have money, you come to me for help. Do you really think I'm your ATM? It was okay when the Hua group was still in my hands. Now I have nothing anyway. My life is worthless. It's worth it to drag you vampires down with me. Either you kill that little bastard like how you killed the two old bastards and let the Hua group return to my hands. Or don't come to me again. I have no money to give you." Chapter 930. The recording stopped abruptly. She guessed that Hua Qihan had hung up the phone after saying those harsh words. Hua Chenhuan's face sank when she heard Hua Qihan's second sentence. Her face became even gloomier when she heard the last sentence. Although Hua Qihan did not say what the other party was threatening him with, she could tell from his words that he was talking about the accidental death of Hua Chenhuan's parents. Hua Qihan was in contact with the group of people who planned all this at that time. He must have something to do with what happened that year. Hua Chenhuan put away the recording pen with a gloomy face. Then she solemnly said to Xue Xiao, "Thank you." Even if she knew that Xue Xiao took out this thing at this time to make Hua Qihan die more miserably, it was undeniable that she did help in this matter. Xue Xiao smiled and didn't accept his gratitude. "Thank your wife." Hua Chenhuan went downstairs with the recording and immediately contacted Zheng Qianyang. "Uncle, where are you now? I have something to discuss with you. Can you come to my company?" "Yes, now, it's very important. It can't be explained over the phone." "Okay, I'll wait for you in the company." Hua Chenhuan hung up the phone and looked at the car passing by the window. Her face was gloomy and terrible. On the other side, when Su Yiyen went downstairs, Hua Chenhuan had already gone out. After a simple breakfast with the little fellow, Su Yiyen set off for the company. Unexpectedly, she received a strange phone call when she just arrived at the company's gate. Su Yiyen hesitated for a while and picked it up. Unexpectedly, "Miss Su." "Mr. Do." "It's me. What about the matter that I asked Miss Su to consider before?" "Miss Su, have you considered it?" "The matter before?" Su Yiyen was stunned. She really forgot about it. However, that day, Do Tianyi came to her uninvited and said a lot of specious words. In Su Yiyen's opinion, it was very annoying. Later, this person stopped for a period of time and did not bother her again. She thought that her answer that day had made him retreat. "Mr. Do, I said very clearly that day that our two companies have different business philosophies. There is no need to cooperate at all. If you want to find someone to cooperate with you, you can cooperate with other management companies. I believe that with the scale of high E, as long as you say so, there will be many companies scrambling. Why do you want to fight with a small company like mine? But I only want to work with you. Not with your company, but with you." When Su Yiyen heard his words, she did not know why, but she had goosebumps all over her body. Her words became a little impatient. "But I don't want to work with you. This is my answer. I hope this is the last call you'll make to me. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first." Su Yiyen didn't wait for Do Tianyi's reaction and hung up the phone. Just as she took 2 steps forward, a group of tall and strong men in black rushed over from who knows where and surrounded her. Su Yiyen's bodyguards heard the commotion and quickly stepped forward to shield Su Yiyen behind them. In a moment, the leader of the group of uninvited guests surrounding Su Yiyen walked out and said respectfully, "Miss Su, our boss wants to talk to you about something. Please come with us." "Your boss?" Su Yiyen recalled the phone call and her face darkened. "Do Tianyi sent you?" Chapter 931. The leader did not say yes or no. He only said in a low voice, "Boss only wants to see Miss Su and have a chat with Miss Su face to face. He won't hurt Miss Su. Please rest assured, Miss Su." "Then it's him." Su Yiyen was so angry that she laughed. Was she worried that a certain someone would hurt her? She was angry at a certain someone's incomparably arrogant attitude in inviting her. His mouth said please, but his actions were inhumane. He raised the banner of tolerance high, but in reality, he was just a wolf in sheep's clothing. He could not move others, but only himself. Sure enough, these world's protagonists had problems with their brains. If I go just because he asks me to, wouldn't I lose face? Please, Miss Su, don't make things difficult for us. Damn, he even used moral blackmail. The mockery in Su Yiyen's eyes intensified. She asked, "Am I very familiar with you?" The leader was stunned. How could he dare to answer such a question? "This is the first time I've met Miss Su." "That means we're not familiar with each other." Su Yiyen sneered at him. "Since we're not familiar with each other, why should I care if you make things difficult for me?" The leader choked. Just as he was about to say something, he was once again interrupted by Su Yiyen. "Besides, I'm not the one who's making things difficult for you. If you have the ability, go back and tell your boss not to make things difficult for you. Why are you looking for me? Picking the soft persimmon to pinch? Then I'm really sorry. I'm not some soft persimmon. I'm not someone you can pinch just because you want to." The leader's face turned ashen after being ridiculed by Su Yiyen's words, but he had no choice but to endure it. After all, his boss's intention was to politely invite her back and not hurt a single hair on her head. Looks like Miss Su doesn't intend to cooperate. Then don't blame us for not knowing the severity of our actions and hurting you. When Su Yiyen heard what he said, he almost couldn't help but curse on the spot. You guys look like you don't have good intentions. You want me to go with you? You don't even ask for my opinion. As soon as I rejected you, you wanted to use force. You even told me not to blame you for not knowing the severity of your actions. You're really acting like a whore, yet you still want to set up a monument to your chastity. Su Yen was so angry that he laughed. Looking at the several people, he said, "Is that so? Should I thank you then?" After Su Yen finished speaking, he was too lazy to talk nonsense with this group of people. He reached out and patted the bodyguard in front of him. These people don't seem to put you in their eyes at all. If you don't teach them a lesson, I'm afraid your boss will lose face. The bodyguard also smiled. What you said makes sense, but fists and feet have no eyes. You'd better go back to the car and wait for us to deal with it before you get out, okay? Their location was still some distance away from the company's main entrance, and this group of people had long been prepared to block the only way to the main entrance. Compared to running to the company now, it was obviously safer to go back to the car. Sure, why not? I'll go back now. When the leader saw that Su Yiyen was about to leave, his face darkened, and he decisively led his men to approach Su Yiyen's direction. After a while, they started fighting with Su Yiyen's bodyguards. After all, their target was Su Yiyen, and they were only told not to hurt Su Yiyen. Most of the people around Su Yiyen were transferred from Zheng Qianyang to Huachenhuan, and Huachenhuan specially sent to protect Su Yiyen. Most of them were retired martial artists from the special department. 1 against 2 was no problem, but Dou Tianyi seemed to know the people around her very well. This time, he also spent a lot of money to invite Su Yiyen. Chapter 932. The people who surrounded Su Yiyen were not as good as the bodyguards on Su Yiyen's side. However, with 2 or 3 people surrounding one person, it still caused some trouble for the bodyguards. Because of these people's entanglement, it was inevitable that some mistakes were made in their defense. Several people who escaped the net took advantage of the fact that Su Yiyen's bodyguards were tied up by their colleagues and rushed toward Su Yiyen. They wanted to take her away before Su Yiyen got into the car. At that time, Su Yiyen only had 2 bodyguards beside her, but there were 5 people who rushed over. The 5 people had a clear division of labor. 4 of them were divided into 2 groups to tie up the 2 bodyguards, while the remaining 1 ran directly to catch Su Yiyen. In their opinion, Su Yiyen was a weak woman who lived like a princess. She would be knocked down with a casual touch and would not have the strength to fight back. 1 person was more than enough to catch her. The 2 bodyguards who were tied up quickly realized their intentions and wanted to stop them. However, these people were too cunning. Even if they could not beat them, they would hug their necks or legs and would not let them move at all. Seeing that the person was getting closer and closer to Su Yiyen, everyone's hearts were in their mouths. However, the expected scene did not happen. The development of the matter was beyond everyone's expectations. As soon as the man touched Su Yiyen, she clasped his wrist and threw him over her shoulder, causing him to be stunned. However, this man was not to be trifled with. After realizing that he had underestimated his opponent, he quickly got up from the ground and wanted to pounce on Su Yiyen again. However, Su Yiyen was 1 step ahead of him. Before he could stand up straight, she kicked the bend of his leg and kicked him until he knelt on 1 knee. Then she picked up the bag in her hand and threw it at the man's face, directly hammering him to the ground. After suffering 2 heavy blows, the man only felt pain in his chest and legs. His face was burning, and blood flowed down his nose like it was free. He did not know if his nose bridge was broken or not. He struggled to get up, only to find that Su Yiyen had walked to his side without him noticing. With a smile on his face, he stared at him condescendingly. The man did not know why, but he felt a chill run down his spine. He suddenly had an ominous premonition. In the next second, he saw Su Yiyen slowly raise his foot. The muffled sound of the collision and someone's shrill scream made all the men present clamp their legs together. They looked at Su Yiyen with panic in their eyes. Su Yiyen glanced at the man who was rolling back and forth in pain on the ground. She simply moved her muscles and bones, slung her bag over her shoulder, and said regretfully, "If I knew that I would encounter such bad luck today, I wouldn't have worn a skirt. It really affected my performance." Everyone. That's enough to restrict you? If you don't wear a dress, I'm afraid you'll go to heaven. Before they came, they had already planned to use force if the soft approach did not work. At this moment, they finally realized that Su Yiyen was not the soft persimmon that they had imagined. Just as he was wondering whether he should leave or stay, an angry shout suddenly came from not far away. "The few of you, what are you doing here?" Everyone looked over and saw Xia Junxing with a gloomy face. He led a group of security guards and hurried over to Su Yiyen and the others. The leader realized that the situation had changed. He gritted his teeth and finally gave up on continuing to tangle with Su Yiyen and the others. He quickly retreated with his men. Su Yiyen's men wanted to chase after them, but they were stopped by Su Yiyen. "There's no need to chase after them. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. We all know who sent them here. We don't have to worry about not having a chance to take revenge." Chapter 933. When they heard Su Yiyen's words, they naturally obeyed unconditionally. Most importantly, they still had some psychological trauma towards Su Yiyen. Whenever they saw her, they couldn't help but want to clamp their legs together. Xia Junxing came late and didn't see Su Yiyen's heroic appearance. He asked nervously, "Are you okay?" "Those people just now." "I'm fine. Why you here?" "Those people just now, you can think of it as kidnapping." "Kidnapping?" Xia Junxing's voice suddenly rose. "In broad daylight, with so many people around you, they dare to kidnap you? These people are too lawless." "They are indeed quite lawless." Su Yiyen didn't tell Xia Junxing that if she didn't know some martial arts, they might have succeeded. "No, they dare to kidnap you so blatantly? I'm afraid they won't let it go so easily. Do you want to call the police? Did you provoke some kind of enemy? Do you want to—" "No, I know who it is." "You know who it is?" Xia Junxing was stunned. "Then, I know what to do. Don't worry, I'll take care of it." Xia Junxing wasn't as optimistic as she was. He frowned and said, "Don't be stubborn. At the very least, there's still your brother and your husband." "But don't tell my brother about this first." Xia Junxing raised his eyebrows and asked, "Are you sure?" Su Yiyen choked. She remembered that the baby was almost stolen last time. She didn't want her family to worry, so she didn't say anything. After the incident, she was harshly criticized. This time, it happened in front of so many people. It would be harder to keep it a secret than the last time. "Why not? Don't tell him first. I'll tell him myself." "Okay, then you tell him yourself." As Su Yiyen expected, this matter couldn't be kept a secret. As soon as she stepped into the company, someone tipped her off and told Huo Chenhuan about it. At this time, Huo Chenhuan was in the office talking to Zheng Qianyang about the recording. After listening to the recording, Zheng Qianyang's reaction was even more explosive than Huo Chenhuan's. "This bastard! I've raised him for 20 to 30 years, and in the end, I've raised an insatiable ingrate. Although they had raised him for so long and had never mistreated him. How could he? How could he do such a thing? Had he not had nightmares all these years? I never thought that I would suffer retribution. He even tried to instigate those people to harm you. Just to take back the Huo Corporation, he wanted nothing more than to end the family Huo's bloodline. What sins did my sister and brother-in-law commit in their past lives to provoke such a beast?" Before this, Zheng Qianyang had actually thought about the Huo Corporation and whether there were spies around him. Otherwise, over the years, every time he was about to find a clue, it would quickly break off and return to the starting point. However, he never expected that the mole would turn out to be Huo Qihan. He also didn't expect that he was the key to the death of Huo Chenhuan's parents. For more than 30 years, even a dog would wag its tail and beg for mercy, but there was no way to warm up this ingrate's heart. No, he doesn't have a heart at all. Compared to Zheng Qianyang's fury, Huo Chenhuan was very calm. However, those who knew him knew that the calmer he was, the scarier he was. It's not that he doesn't have a heart. On the contrary, he has too much and too big a heart. He can't tolerate my parents, and he can't tolerate me. Chapter 934. To put it bluntly, the reason why Huo Qihan took such a big risk to cooperate with a group of desperados and commit such an atrocious act was that he was worried that his parents would hand over the Huo Corporation to Huo Chenhuan, leaving him with nothing to gain. He might as well go all the way and kill all the people and things that might threaten him while they were still in the cradle. It was not that he was heartless, but that he was too ruthless. He could even abandon the family who had raised him and nurtured him for so many years. Zheng Qianyang was naturally aware of this, but even though he knew, he still found it hard to accept. His sister and brother-in-law had been smart all their lives, but in the end, they had fallen into this kind of child debt. How could he not sigh? Thinking of this, his hatred for Huo Qihan deepened. What are you going to do? It's impossible not to avenge my parents and my child. But it's definitely not enough to capture him alone. Huo Chenhuan turned to look at Zheng Qianyang. From this recording, it can be seen that he has been in contact with that group of people over the years, and he has been in contact with them recently. Huo Qihan's capture was not widely publicized, and only a few people know about it. I want to ask Uncle to help me set this matter as top secret, at least to ensure that those people won't find out that Huo Qihan is under our control in the short term. Zheng Qianyang's eyes flashed slightly, and he immediately saw what Huo Chenhuan wanted to do. You want to use Huo Qihan to lure that group of people out? Yes. I'm afraid Huo Qihan won't cooperate. If he doesn't cooperate, then find a way to make him cooperate. The beast that had been dormant for a long time finally bared its fangs at this moment. Zheng Qianyang was shocked. Looking at Huo Chenhuan, whose aura suddenly erupted, he finally realized that it was not that his nephew didn't hate. He just hid this hatred in the deepest part of his heart, accumulating it bit by bit and brewing it bit by bit. All the forbearance in the past was just to kill at the critical moment. I understand your feelings, but those people are very cunning. If we don't handle this matter well, we might alert them and waste all our previous efforts. We have to think about it carefully. The bodyguard's call came in at this time. Huo Chenhuan didn't want to answer, but when she looked at the number, she realized that it was from Su Yiyen's bodyguard. She was worried that something might have happened to Su Yiyen, so she picked up the call. As soon as the call connected, the person on the other end said that Su Yiyen was almost kidnapped by a group of men in black who suddenly appeared at the entrance of his company. The boss behind these men in black was suspected to be the head of the Dou family, Dou Tianyi. Fortunately, with the efforts of all of them and the eruption of the young madam's little universe, they successfully repelled this group of uninvited guests. During this time, he emphasized that Su Yiyen alone beat up a big man who was several times bigger than her until he was bleeding and almost had no descendants. Unfortunately, Huo Chenhuan's mind was focused on Su Yiyen almost being kidnapped. How could she be in the mood to listen to his explanation? She immediately left Zheng Qianyang and rushed out. Zheng Qianyang was not stupid. When he saw Huo Chenhuan's expression suddenly change and run out, he knew that something big must have happened. He hurriedly followed after her. Huo Chenhuan ran to Dongqing City as fast as she could, but the first thing she encountered was neither big nor small. This was the first time he had entered Su Yiyen's company. The receptionist didn't recognize him at all and asked him politely, "Hello, sir. May I know who you are looking for?" Chapter 935. Huo Chenhuan couldn't be bothered to argue with her, so she raised her feet and headed upstairs. The lady at the front desk had just witnessed an attempted kidnapping, so she was a little paranoid at this moment. When she saw Huo Chenhuan heading upstairs, her expression changed slightly. She was about to call for help when her colleague stopped her. "Why are you holding me back?" Before the receptionist could finish her sentence, she was interrupted. "That's President Hua." "President Hua? Since when did our company have a new President Hua? Why haven't I seen him before?" Idiot. The colleague rolled her eyes at her colleague. President Hua is President Su's husband. He's not a leader of our company. Of course you haven't seen him before. President Su's husband? The receptionist suddenly realized. Isn't that the lady boss of our company? The colleague. What lady boss? You're a genius. The receptionist didn't notice the subtle change in her colleague's expression. After pondering for a moment, she suddenly seemed to recall something. She raised her head and looked at her colleague suspiciously. That can't be right. If he's not a leader of our company and has never been here before, how do you know him? The colleague responded by rolling her eyes again. Even if you don't know anything, you still have to surf the internet. President Su and her husband are a very popular couple on the internet. Is that so? The receptionist was shocked. Did her boss have fans these days? However, it didn't seem impossible given their good looks. The colleague was trying her best to convince the receptionist that she had been following for a long time. However, she suddenly saw a strange man rushing in from outside the company. Just like Hu Chenhuan, he wanted to rush upstairs. Alarm bells went off in her head. Sir, how can I help you? Zheng Qianyang hurriedly asked. Is President Su here? Yes. I think so. Do you have an appointment? The three of them stared at each other, and the atmosphere became a little awkward. Zheng Qianyang glanced at the two young ladies who were old enough to be his daughters. He asked stiffly and awkwardly, If I didn't tell you that I'm her uncle, would you believe me? The two girls looked at each other and said at the same time, Huh. When Hu Chenhuan barged in, Su Yan was hesitating about how to tell her brother about this. The sudden appearance of her big cutie really gave her a fright. Why you here? I heard from them that you were almost kidnapped. How could I not come and take a look? Are you hurt? Hu Chenhuan took a step forward and held Su Yan's hand tightly. She examined her carefully from head to toe. He felt that it was not enough and wanted to take her to the hospital for a checkup. Su Yan was touched and amused at the same time. Didn't they tell you clearly? Just that I was almost fine, but those people? That's only a little. If there were more people or if there were fewer people around you. Before Hu Chenhuan could finish her words, her face darkened. Su Yan knew that he was panicking because of his concern. She wanted to say something to comfort him, but the phone on the table suddenly rang. Su Yan looked at Hu Chenhuan comfortingly and picked up the phone. What's the matter? President Su, there's a man downstairs who claims to be your uncle. He wants to go upstairs to see you, but he doesn't have an appointment. Do you think? Before the receptionist could finish speaking, Su Yan heard a familiar voice on the other end of the phone. Yan, I'm blocked by your company's receptionist downstairs and can't go up. Can you get someone to come down and pick me up? Su Yan. Chapter 936. Su Yan confirmed Zheng Qianyang's identity and asked the receptionist to let him upstairs. Then, she hung up the phone and glanced at Hu Chenhuan with a subtle expression. Even her uncle was stuck downstairs and couldn't come up. How did this guy get up here? Could it be Zheng Qianyang came up very quickly? The receptionist was worried that he wouldn't be able to find the place, so she kindly led him to the top floor and pointed him in the right direction before leaving. It was considered atonement for her mistake. As soon as Zheng Qianyang entered the door, he couldn't help but sigh. The receptionist of your company is really conscientious. I tried so hard to persuade her in every possible way. My mouth was almost broken, but she didn't listen. She almost called the security guard to arrest me. Su Yan couldn't help but laugh at the thought of that scene. She explained on behalf of her company's receptionist, they must have been frightened by what happened this morning. They are more cautious than usual. Then, she suddenly looked at Hu Chenhuan and changed the topic. She teased, Our company's receptionist is so conscientious that she let you up. Zheng Qianyang finally realized that the receptionist had only stopped him and not Hu Chenhuan. Could it be that they look at age to stop people? Hu Chenhuan glanced at him and mercilessly said, It could also be that they look at appearance. Zheng Qianyang. This unlucky nephew of his can't be any more. Su Yan listened to the conversation between the two and smiled slightly. She glanced at the screen at the side and saw that a few girls in her company's small group chat were trying their best to promote her and her husband as a couple. Su Yen narrowed her eyes and secretly added in her heart, "It seems that he relied on his identity as the boss's husband to get up here." Ahem. Zheng Qianyang was injured by his nephew's straight shot. He had to use a roundabout way to save himself. "Let's not talk about this. What's going on with Yen Yen?" Chen Huan received the call and ran away without saying anything. I saw that something was wrong with his expression, so I was worried and followed him here. Hearing Zheng Qianyang's words, Su Yen subconsciously glanced at Hu Chenhuan and said embarrassedly, "There was a small accident when I came over this morning." Before Su Yen could finish her words, Hu Chenhuan interrupted her unhappily, "Almost being kidnapped is just a small accident? Kidnapping? Who did it?" Zheng Qianyang's expression changed slightly. He immediately thought of that group of people. It should be Dou Tianyi. Dou Tianyi? That brat from the Dou family? Zheng Qianyang frowned. "Why did he kidnap you?" "He has a rare blood disease and wants me to help him recuperate. He beat around the bush and said that he wants to cooperate with our company. I refused, but I think there's something wrong with his brain. He can't understand human language." Before this, Su Yen still had some subtle sympathy for Dou Tianyi. But under the other party's various tricks, her little sympathy had been completely wiped out and turned into strong disgust. Hu Chenhuan heard Su Yen's disgust for someone, and his expression became a little better. But when he thought of what happened today, it was difficult to get rid of his anger. "I don't think there's something wrong with his brain. There's something wrong with his eyes. He dares to brazenly send people to kidnap you. He doesn't take me seriously at all." Su Yen knew that Hu Chenhuan wouldn't let it go, but she was also worried that his anger would affect his health. She comforted him in a low voice. "Oh, okay, let's not lower ourselves to the same level as this idiot. Besides, I didn't lose anything, did I? The guy who came to kidnap me, not only did his nose break, but I also stepped on him. I think he won't be able to move for a while." Chapter 937. Hu Chenhuan was not surprised to hear her say that. After all, Su Yen had sent Hu Xiaofeng to the hospital on her own. Her glorious history was still vivid in her mind. Although she was a little surprised that she could even beat a thug, it was not to the extent of being shocked. On the contrary, when Zheng Qianyang heard Su Yayan's words, he stared at Su Yayan in astonishment and bewilderment, as if he was wondering how a certain someone with a small body that could be blown away by a gust of wind could possibly hit someone. Could it be that the robbers who came to catch them were so weak that they couldn't even beat a weak girl? As soon as this idea popped up, Zheng Qianyang rejected it. If that was the case, how could these small fries get close to Su Yen when there were so many people by her side? "Yen Yen, you just said that you broke the nose of the person who wanted to catch you, and stepped on his foot? Just you alone." While Su Yen was embarrassed, she was also worried that Zheng Qianyang would blame the bodyguards who tried their best to protect her. She hurriedly explained, "There were too many people at that time. The number of people on the other side was basically 2 to 3 times that of us. It was already quite impressive that they could stop so many people and only let one person escape. Otherwise, even if I have some skills, I definitely wouldn't be able to escape unscathed like I am now." Zheng Qianyang was also considered a wily old fox. He could tell a lot from Su Yen's words. He smiled and asked, "You've practiced with people before?" "I couldn't tell. When I was young, I was always playful and almost got into trouble. My family was worried, so they hired a few masters to teach me some martial arts. It wasn't to beat people up, but to protect myself and strengthen my body. It's just that I've been neglected these years, and my martial arts have become rusty, so I didn't help much." Su Yen's words were not false. It had been a few years since she had learned these things from others. Although the incident back then had been more daunting than dangerous and hadn't really hurt her, it had almost scared her family out of their wits. After that, Su Yen basically had people following her wherever she went. The main reason she learned these things was so that she could have some ability to protect herself when she was alone. If she was not alone, the things she learned would naturally be useless. Especially after she married Hua Chenhuan, the number of people by her side skyrocketed. If something really happened, Hua Chenhuan would help her deal with it. Su Yiyan was happy to be a hands-off boss. She hid behind Hua Chenhuan like a canary. She looked more and more harmless. However, just because they looked harmless didn't mean that they were harmless. The man who had happily ran over to catch her was a realistic example. He had thought that he was an easy bone to chew, but in the end, it was his own teeth that broke. To be able to hold back those people that Chenhuan sect gave you, these people's skills shouldn't be too bad. It's already not easy for you to gain an advantage over them. Especially according to Su Yiyan's words, the other party should have been seriously injured, but she was completely unharmed. There wasn't even a small wound. Even if this outcome was definitely caused by the other party underestimating Su Yiyan because she was a girl, it could be seen that Su Yiyan did have some skills. You just said that your family hired a few masters to teach you these things. What are the names of these masters? Don't think too much. I'm just a little curious. Moreover, there might be someone I know among these people. The premise was that the person was powerful enough and famous enough. Chapter 938. Su Yiyan knew Zheng Qianyang's background, so she didn't think too much about it. After a moment of contemplation, she mentioned the name of the coach she thought was the best, but Zheng Qianyang really did know him. Oh, it's him. Zheng Qianyang let out a long sigh and suddenly understood. Hua Chenhuan frowned slightly. Uncle, you know him? We've met a few times. After the initial surprise, Zheng Qianyang calmed down a lot and looked at Su Yiyan with curiosity and inquiry. After I retired, the higher-ups sent a very good person to take over my job. The person who taught Yan Yan was that person's right-hand man at the time and was very capable in all aspects. I thought that when he got older and accumulated more credits, he would be able to replace that person and become the new leader of my department. Unfortunately, I heard that he was injured during a big mission and couldn't continue to stay there, so he could only retire. Zheng Qianyang's tone of regret when he said this didn't seem to be fake. Obviously, he recognized Su Yiyan's ability as a coach. I didn't expect that your family would be able to get him to teach you. It seems that they put in a lot of effort. Even if that person had retired from the school, it was not something an ordinary person could do if they wanted him to be a coach for a little girl. Su Yiyan smiled. Uncle Xiang and my uncle were brothers who grew up together. Later on, our family moved to another city because of some family matters. Although we didn't keep in touch much, we didn't break off. After Uncle Xiang came back, he partnered with my uncle to start a small business. At that time, my family wanted me to learn something to defend myself, so they found a few old masters to teach me. When my uncle heard about this, he pulled him in as well. Zheng Qianyang laughed. Your family found a few people at once? Uncle Xiang alone can take on a group of people. I think so too. Her family didn't know much about whether the people they found were professional or not. At that time, her family was very worried about her. Hiring a coach could be said to be an act of desperation. Most of the people they found were embroidered with embroidery. Of course, there were 2 or 3 people who had some real skills, but compared to Uncle Xiang, these people were inevitably at a disadvantage. How is he now? It's pretty good. Uncle Xiang's family background is not bad. Later on, he cooperated with my brother to start a small business. A few years ago, he got married and had a child. Now, his family is living quite happily. That's good. After entering that department, many people had already given up on life and death. It was just that as they got older, they inevitably wanted to settle down. And among these people, there was no lack of people like Zheng Qianyang, who were worried about being hunted down by their enemies and implicating others, or worried that they might not be able to return at any time and waste others' time, so they remained single. It might not be a bad thing for a certain someone to retire early, get married, have children, and have a small family of his own. However, Zheng Qianyang turned his head and looked at Hua Chenhuan sympathetically. His expression was complicated. Silly nephew, your wife's martial arts skills are so high. If the two of you have a conflict in the future and get into a fight, I'm afraid you won't be able to beat your wife. You'll only be beaten. Huo Chenhuan received her uncle's caring little gaze and almost immediately saw through his little thoughts. The corner of her mouth twitched slightly. She thought to herself, not to mention that he goes along with Su Yiyan in family matters, it's impossible for him to quarrel with his wife, let alone fight. Even if that day really comes, can he really fight back against his wife? He'll definitely be beaten up one-sidedly. It has nothing to do with his wife's martial arts skills. Chapter 939. The leader, who was particularly tough in front of Su Yiyan not long ago, now looked at Li Yu for help like a frightened bird, and then gathered his courage to say, "I'm sorry, boss. The people around Miss Su are too good at fighting. We tried our best but could only hold them back, and we didn't expect Miss Su to be so weak, and her skills are..." Before he finished his words, Dou Tianyi's overly sharp eyes had already chopped over, and the leader was so scared that he shivered and couldn't say a word. "I just want to know the result, not the reason." Cold sweat flowed down from the leader's head, and he said with shame and fear, "I'm sorry, boss, we failed." The atmosphere in the room instantly became cold, and the leader's face was as pale as paper. He didn't dare to think about what terrible end he would face. However, to everyone's surprise, Dou Tianyi was silent for a long time after listening to their words, and only replied, "I see, you can go out first. Just let it go?" The leader couldn't believe his ears and almost thought that he had heard wrong. Li Yu's face darkened when she saw that he didn't know how to leave. She had never seen such a person who didn't know how to read the situation. She had asked him to leave, but he still didn't leave. Was he going to stay and burn himself and others? Li Yu silently drew a cross at this person in her heart and impatiently coughed lightly to remind him of something. The leader was like waking up from a dream. At the same time, he was worried that this was the calm before the storm, so he left with a heart full of worries. As soon as Li Yu saw him leave, she immediately took out the small video that she had prepared earlier and handed it to Dou Tianyi. "Boss, this is the video when they went to find Miss Su today." Dou Tianyi took it but didn't watch it immediately. Instead, he asked, "Did they do something to her?" Li Yu was stunned and couldn't help but wipe a bitter tear for the bodyguards in her heart. The order was to bring her back, but they were not allowed to hurt her. The boss had said it, but the people under him were so bitter that they wanted to scratch the wall. To be precise, it was Miss Su who did it to them. "Oh." Dou Tianyi raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but feel a little curious. Su Yiyan did it to them? Was she scratching, biting, and scratching? Dou Tianyi couldn't be blamed for thinking that way. Even Zheng Qianyang, who had lived with the Hua family for a while, didn't expect Su Yiyan to be so capable, let alone Dou Tianyi, who had only met Su Yiyan a few times. The result was, of course, beyond Dou Tianyi's expectations. Dou Tianyi looked at the high-spirited woman in the video and couldn't help smiling. He sighed softly. "I didn't expect her to be so good at martial arts." Dou Tianyi's tone was full of surprise and admiration as he said this. Li Yu's eyes drifted over to the man who was beaten up badly and silently lit a candle for him in her heart. Boss's double standards are always so straightforward, and he doesn't differentiate between friend and foe. Just accept your fate. After watching the video, Dou Tianyi's mood visibly improved. However, what he said sent a chill down Hui Yao's spine. "Deal with the people outside." Li Yu's heart trembled. "Boss." It was indeed the calm before the storm. Couldn't they escape? Deal with them cleanly. Dou Tianyi paused as if he had thought of something. He added, "I don't want to see them again." Chapter 940. Huo Chenhuan noticed Su Yiyan's strange look and asked with concern, "What's wrong? You don't look well." "It's nothing." Su Yiyan shook her head. "I just remembered what he said to me when he came to me last time." Before Huo Chenhuan could speak, Zheng Qianyang asked first, "What did he say?" "He said that he just wanted to live." "I didn't think too much at that time. Now I understand what he meant after listening to my uncle. That is to say, the rumor back then is true? His health? Is it really so bad?" I don't know if he can only live to 30 years old. But his health is really not good. I've seen him twice. His face is very pale and he is short of breath. I guess he can't even stand for a long time. It seems that he is not well enough in the womb and has been sick for a long time. He hasn't been well. Zheng Qianyang sighed when he heard this. The rumor was spread when he was just born. Not long after, the news disappeared. His father must have asked someone to keep it a secret to protect him. But no matter how rich his father is, he still can't buy back his health. That's right. But from another point of view, if his family doesn't have money, I'm afraid he can't live until now. Zheng Qianyang frowned slightly. He had to admit that Su Yiyan's words were reasonable. Huo Chenhuan's face was a little ugly. It was okay if he just wanted to cure Dou Tiany's illness. But it was obvious that he wanted Su Yiyan to save his life. Before coming, Huo Chenhuan had imagined countless ways to attack Dou Tiany. He could suppress the companies under the Dou's, let people take away their big orders again, and design to break their capital chain. He could even arrange people to enter Dou Tiany's companies and instigate the company's executives to be dissatisfied with Dou Tiany. From the inside, he could disintegrate Dou Tiany's power bit by bit. But now, he could not help but wonder if Dou Tiany really cared about these things. Would a person who had been sentenced to death by a doctor and had less than 2 years to live really care about these worldly possessions? No one knew better than Huo Chenhuan how terrifying a person who was at the end of his rope and could not see any hope could be when he went mad. Some time ago, he only came to say a few words. Today, he dared to snatch her away in public. After a while, wouldn't he come to their house and snatch her away? Except for the outlaws who had killed her parents and Huo Qihan, this was the first time Huo Chenhuan had such a strong desire to kill someone. Su Yan sensed something and turned her head to look. When she saw her man's gloomy face, she guessed what he was thinking. This time, Su Yan did not comfort him. Instead, she reached out to hold Huo Chenhuan's hand. She knew what Huo Chenhuan was worried about. Dou Tiany was crazy. No one could predict what such a crazy person would do. But it did not matter. She could not predict Dou Tiany, but it did not mean that she could not predict another person. Thinking of the information that Xia Junxing had sent to her not long ago in the folder, Su Yiyan smiled slightly. She already had a preliminary idea in her heart. On the other side, the few people who failed to complete the task inevitably ushered in a disaster. Failed. Dou Tiany's pale and thin knuckles tapped on the table. Although it did not make any sound, it made everyone in the room feel nervous. Chapter 941. The leader, who had been particularly tough in front of Su Yiyan not long ago, looked at Liu helplessly like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. Only then did he muster up the courage to say, "I'm sorry, boss. The people following Miss Su are too good at fighting. We tried our best but could only hold them back. Moreover, we didn't expect Miss Su to be so weak. Her skills are also..." Before he could finish speaking, Dou Tiany's excessively sharp gaze had already slashed over. The man was so frightened that he trembled and couldn't say a word. "I only want to know the result. I don't want to hear the reason." Cold sweat flowed down the leader's head. He said in shame and fear, "I'm sorry, boss. We failed." The atmosphere in the room instantly turned cold. The leader's face was as white as paper. He didn't dare to imagine what kind of terrible end he was about to face. However, to everyone's surprise, Dou Tiany was silent for a while after listening to their words. He only replied, "Got it. You can leave first." Just let it go? The leader couldn't believe his ears. He almost thought that he had heard wrongly. Liu saw that he was standing there in a daze and didn't know how to leave. Her face also darkened. She had never seen such a tactless person. She had already asked him to leave, but he still didn't leave. Was he planning to stay and burn others? Liu silently crossed out this person in her heart. She coughed impatiently and reminded him. Only then did this person wake up from his dream. At the same time, he was worried that this was the calm before the storm. He left with a lot on his mind. As soon as Liu saw him leave, she immediately took out a small video that she had prepared and handed it to Dou Tiany. "Boss, this is the video of them looking for Miss Su today. Dou Tianyi took it but didn't look at it immediately. Instead he asked, "Did they make a move on her?" Li Yu was stunned. She couldn't help but wipe away bitter tears for the bodyguards in her heart. The order was to bring her back, but they were not allowed to hurt her. The boss had spoken, but the subordinates were so bitter that they wanted to scratch the wall. To be precise, it was Miss Su who attacked them. Oh! Dou Tianyi raised his eyebrows. He couldn't help but feel curious. Did Su Yiyan attack them? Could it be that he was scratching, and biting? Dou Tianyi could not be blamed for thinking this way. Even Zheng Qianyang, who had lived in the family hall for a while, did not expect Su Yiyan to be so capable, let alone Dou Tianyi, who had only met Su Yiyan a few times. The result was, of course, beyond Dou Tianyi's expectations. Dou Tianyi's lips unconsciously curled up as he looked at the high-spirited person in the video. He sighed, "I didn't expect her skills to be so good." When Dou Tianyi said this, his tone was filled with the surprise and admiration of discovering a treasure. Li Yu's gaze faintly drifted over to the beaten man. She silently lit a candle for him in her heart. The boss's double standards were always so straightforward, and he didn't distinguish between friend and foe. Just accept your fate. After watching the video, Dou Tianyi's mood visibly improved. However, the words he said sent a chill down her spine. Deal with those people outside. Li Yu's heart trembled. Boss. Sure enough, it was the calm before the storm. Was there no escape? Deal with them cleanly. Dou Tianyi paused. He seemed to have thought of something and added, I don't want to see them again. Chapter 942. He just didn't want to see them anymore? Li Yu's mind flashed, and he quickly understood what Dou Tianyi meant. He was surprised by his soft-heartedness. Normally, his boss wouldn't be so easy to talk to, and he wouldn't explain so much. Was this change because of Miss Su? Li Yu had mixed feelings. He couldn't tell if Dou Tianyi's change was good or bad. Just as he was at a loss, the phone suddenly rang, waking Li Yu from his daze. Dou Tianyi glanced at him and said mercifully, "Go to your work." Li Yu hurriedly responded. He picked up the phone and walked out, but when he was about to step out of the door, he suddenly stopped and turned to look at Dou Tianyi with a strange expression. Boss? Dou Tianyi raised his head to look at him, as if he had sensed something. What happened? It's about Miss Wen Jingping. Dou Tianyi had almost forgotten about this person. Now that he heard Li Yu mention her, his face darkened and he said coldly, "What happened to her?" It's like this. It turned out that half an hour ago, there was a series of explosive news on the internet, such as, Wen Jingping stepped in with a married man and became a mistress, a powerful veteran in the industry had an affair with an actress in the same production team, and his wife-doting image collapsed. In order to increase the credibility of the news, many media outlets released many intimate photos of Wen Jingping and Ding Jueisi as evidence. It didn't take long for it to become a hot topic on the internet, and everyone knew about it. Both of them were artists under high art. Ding Jueisi had relied on his wife's connections and the image of a wife-doting husband to develop very well. It could be said that he had gained both fame and fortune. Now, he was considered one of the pillars of high art. The sudden exposure of such a scandal had a great impact on high art. After Ding Jueisi's manager saw the news on the internet, he immediately found someone to do public relations. However, when the public relations department saw that the people who caused the trouble were Ding Jueisi and Wen Jingping, they immediately found out. Considering the ambiguous attitude of the company's senior management towards Wen Jingping, the department head hesitated for a moment before taking the initiative to call Li Yu to inform her of the situation. When Li Yu heard about this, she felt that although her boss had a new lover, and his attitude towards Wen Jingping's old lover was not as good as before, it was better to be safe than sorry. Dou Tianyi listened to Li Yu's words and looked at the latest trending topics. Sure enough, their scandal was at the top of the list. Dou Tianyi narrowed his eyes, a little angry. He was not angry that the two of them had been exposed. Instead, he was angry that the two of them had dared to cause him such trouble in his own company and had asked his company to clean up the mess. Are you being pressed down by someone? I did, but... Liu looked troubled. But the people over there said that someone is manipulating this matter behind the scenes and they can't suppress it. Someone is manipulating this matter behind the scenes. Dou Tianyi pondered for a moment and quickly felt that something was wrong. Liu stood beside Dou Tianyi. She thought that Dou Tianyi would definitely be angry when she said this. Unexpectedly, not only was he not angry, but he suddenly smiled and said, "When a kitten is provoked, it will also bite." Liu was confused. Kitten? What kitten? Assistant Li, who was slow to react, took some time to realize that there was a hint of helplessness and doting in a certain someone's tone when he said this. She could not help but tremble. Chapter 943. Just as the two of them had expected, Su Yiyan was the one who released the news and refused to let anyone suppress it. Previously, when Su Yiyan was surfing the internet, she accidentally found out that Hua Xiaofeng had been cuckolded. She was so angry that she found a group of hooligans to humiliate Wen Jingping. Unexpectedly, Wen Jingping had hooked up with a married man who was a bootlicker. Just in case, Su Yiyan specially asked Xia Junsheng to find someone to keep an eye on the two of them to see if they would still be together behind their wives' and children's backs like in the original work. In the end, Su Yiyan guessed correctly. After the hero saves the beauty incident, Ding Jueси and Wen Jingping had contact and became familiar with each other not long after. It was unknown whether the power of the original work's plot was too strong or Wen Jingping's ability to seduce people was too high. Ding Juesi was an old senior who had been in the entertainment industry for many years. Logically speaking, he should have more or less heard of Wen Jingping's love affairs. However, he didn't seem to mind these at all. Within a few days, he was in full swing with Wen Jingping. After that, in less than a week, he recommended her to be in a TV series that he was filming. Although Wen Jingping didn't get an important supporting role that could prove her acting skills like in the original work, she still got a small supporting role from Ding Juesi. This was a life-saving straw for Wen Jingping, who had been shelved since The Empress finished filming. Wen Jingping didn't reject Ding Juesi's olive branch. The next morning, she happily joined the crew and began to spend time with Ding Juesi day and night. Occasionally, they would read the script together. From the information submitted by Xia Junsheng, Ding Juesi was more restrained when he first invited Wen Jingping to join the crew. He basically interacted with Wen Jingping in public, and he always held the script in his hands when he spoke. The image of the diligent and studious newcomer and the responsible senior who explained the script to the newcomer was flawless, and no one could find any fault with it. However, there would always be times when people let their guard down. Soon, the two of them crossed the line between senior and junior and began to interact frequently in the dressing room, the fitting room, and even the hotel room of both parties. Xia Junsheng had sent a professional paparazzi to follow the two of them. It was almost to the point of being pervasive. Those who were sneaky and cautious could be photographed by him, not to mention these two people who could see that something was wrong. Su Yiyan did not intend to reveal this matter so early, but who asked Dou Tianyi to make her unhappy? If the male lead made her unhappy, she would mess with the female lead. In any case, they were now considered one entity, so there was nothing wrong with that. Wen Jingping didn't know that her calamity was caused by the King of Hell's attack, and she, a little demon, was the one who suffered. Seeing that her career finally had a chance to make a comeback, Wen Jingping was suddenly hit by reality. She was in a bad mood. She could only cry and run to the other protagonist to complain. "Brother Ding, how could this be? We clearly didn't do anything. How can these people slander us without any basis? Now that things have turned out like this, how can I face people in the future?" Wen Jingping cried like a pear blossom in the rain, and Ding Juesi's heart ached as expected. "Don't worry. These reporters and the big influencers are all like this. For some traffic, they can distort the truth and say anything. I've already contacted my agent and asked him to find a company to help with public relations. It will be fine soon. Just like you said, we didn't do anything. The innocent will be innocent. Nothing will happen." Chapter 944. Just like in the original novel, Ding Jueqi was indeed having an affair with Wen Jingping. Especially since Wen Jingping was still single, unlike the original novel where she had been with Hua Xiaofeng for a long time. This gave Ding Jueqi a good reason to pursue his true love. His attitude toward Wen Jingping was much warmer than in the original novel. However, Wen Jingping had only been using Ding Jueqi from the beginning to the end. How could she have a substantive relationship with him? Every time Ding Jueqi hinted at her, Wen Jingping would try her best to reject him, but she would not hurt Ding Jueqi's self-esteem. She would keep him at arm's length. This made Ding Jueqi mistakenly think that she was avoiding him and keeping a distance from him because she was worried about his identity as a married man. Wen Jingping's backup plan was very successful. Not only did she not push Ding Jueqi away, but she also made him even more obsessed with Wen Jingping. Ding Jueqi's heart melted when he saw Wen Jingping crying so miserably. He wished he could pull her into his arms and dote on her. A bold idea appeared in his mind. "Don't worry. It'll be fine." "Yes, I believe in Brother Ding." Wen Jingping looked at Ding Jueqi with reddened eyes, which made Ding Jueqi want to protect her. Just as he was about to say something to comfort her, an urgent ringtone suddenly rang. Ding Jueqi glanced at the name displayed on the screen, and his expression changed slightly. He said apologetically, "Don't worry. The company and I will handle this. You just stay on set and don't go anywhere. I still have something to deal with. I'll leave for a while. I'll be back soon to accompany you." Ding Jueqi left in a hurry. Wen Jingping instantly stopped crying. She looked in the direction he left and sneered, "His wife?" An unfamiliar and rigid mechanical voice suddenly sounded. "Yes." Calling him back at this time must be because of the online incident. Wen Jingping suddenly changed the topic and said coldly, "Have you found out who released those things?" Searching for the mastermind requires a certain amount of points. The host's current points are not enough to activate this function. Please complete the mission as soon as possible to obtain points. Wen Jingping's face darkened. She was so angry that she wanted to drag out the so-called system in her mind and give it a good beating. This system called the Source of the World had suddenly found Wen Jingping when she was driven out of the Dou family by Li Yu. At that time, Wen Jingping had been frightened, but more than that, she was ecstatic. She had read countless system novels, so how could she not know that those who were chosen by the system were almost always the chosen ones? Sure enough, the heavens didn't let her transmigrate just to let her be ordinary. Wen Jingping quickly accepted the existence of the system and tried to use it to change her fate. However, things did not go as smoothly as Wen Jingping had imagined. She needed to complete missions and earn points to be able to exchange for goods in the system. But because of all the things that had happened before, Wen Jingping's reputation had been ruined to a certain extent, making it difficult for her to complete the missions given by the system. Wen Jingping had spent a lot of effort to get a few points. She had used all of them to increase her charm. In any case, she had grabbed hold of Ding Jueqi, this life-saving straw, which gave her some buffer time. However, Wen Jingping was obviously not satisfied with this. The probability shows that the male supporting lead is very likely to divorce his wife after returning. Wen Jingping's face darkened. She sneered, "Divorce is divorce. What does it have to do with me?" You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.